Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 10 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Late Riser and Pras. Welcome back, LR. How have you been?
Been good, yeah. Went on a little bit of a journey, a little vacation because my brother was down for Diwali as well, so it was quite nice. And then on the way back, I was driving and listening to you boys, and I remember messaging as soon as I got home. I was like, I was smoking with all the chat on the Manchester United midfielders, which we'll cover later. And then I am obsessing over bench boosting in game week 9 and spent way too much time thinking about the bench boost because it's a holiday time in India, right? And then just when I was ready to make my move, Pras messages me, bro, cancel the PB. Gabriel's dicey. And then I'm like, shit, man. And I was cursing Arteta. I was like, when you go on an FPL journey, it's like you get to invest it in your picks and your research that you do, and you tend to lose the objectivity of having an open mind. But God bless Mikel Arteta for lying through his face, because it would have been an 8-point PV with nothing home to write out. One extra transfer would have been spent, and I'm in a much better and happier place now.
How much did you believe what Arteta said, Pras?
I don't believe it, man. Like, of course, if you have a transfer, right, you don't even bother. Like, I can see people like doing this spy analysis. Is he in the squad? Is this guy in the squad? People like us who've used their bench boost or were not keen to play the bench boost anyway, had Sar on the bench, were like chilling, man. Like, it's all good. Like, it's fine. It's Crystal Palace. We know the record Crystal Palace have against great teams. So I was like, if the guy can, look what he did with Saka. We found out later that Saka was actually ill. So there was a reason why he was not in the training photos. But what did he do? He was like, you have to play, bro. Like, you have to play. So it was Crystal Palace. I felt he would play. But if I was in a bench boost, I would have done exactly what Ella did. Like, it's not worth the hassle if he misses out.
Yep. Arteta has taken pretty much every play from the Mourinho playbook, and I'm not saying this in a derisory or derogatory way. Peak Mourinho was a good manager, but you see so many traits of it. I didn't believe it for a second. It's a big game. The mind games start. That's pretty much it.
And he doubles down by not even showing any training photos. Like, he makes sure that my narrative is consistent.
The entire media team has been briefed that these guys' pictures have not to be shared.
Exactly.
How about you, Zoph? How was Wildcard week? How was the journey? Are you happy with the decisions? Where are you at on that?
Yeah, pretty much, man. Obviously, selling Rodon hurts a little bit just because how good he's been to me. But like on a wild card, and especially now making transfers, right? You have to stop thinking about the players you sold. You have to think about the guys you buy. And this is what we preach. And I think the team's well set up for the next few. And more I think about it, I think the back four just makes more sense, man. Given what we are seeing from the set piece league right now, every game there's so many set piece goals, throw-in goals. It's incredible.
I want to discuss that actually later. Back 4, back 5 might be the meta, but I do want to open the conversation up to a back 6 later in the chat as well.
That's interesting.
I missed the joke.
Yeah, cool. We'll get to that.
Did you calculate, Zoph, your points? Because Salah did all right, Porro did all right, Rodon did all right,
Eze did all right.
Eze did all right. When these guys were scoring, I was like, man, I hope Zoph is okay. I hope Zoph is okay.
Yeah,
but ultimately, I think it was fine.
Yeah, because I still had Reinders, I still had Joao Pedro, I still had Dewsbury Hall. I didn't have Gabriel, and Gabriel looks like 17-pointer anytime he steps on the pitch. You shit yourself watching the game without Gabriel. The amount of times he's involved in every set piece is insane.
Yeah.
That was the back 6 reference, Pras.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Should we get started?
Yes, let's get into it. As always, all the data you see on this podcast, and we've got a fair few tables on here, is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Zoph has looked into some custom tables as well. He has done the stats review on Monday morning as well, which I enjoyed with my morning cup of coffee. So do sign up and become a member. If you become a member, help us out by either scanning this QR code or clicking on the link in the description below.
As you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services. And if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. What have you been watching, guys? Pras?
I watched this Nena murder thing on Hotstar, which you recommended. I know.
Yeah.
I saw a recommendation. So when I saw it, when your mom visits, so my mom is visiting London, so you find all the shows all the Hindi shows that are being recommended. So I watched that. Although I don't want to give a spoiler, but I didn't like the ending at all.
There's no ending, it's a continuation.
Well, that is the spoiler. So I didn't know this.
Yes.
So it's one of those where
Me
you've
neither.
got 2 episodes left and you're sleepy and you're like, shall we just finish this? And you're like, okay, let's finish this. And then you finish it. You're like, this didn't even finish.
It's
So
very annoying.
I have a little bit of a gripe with that, but otherwise it's a good show. And then The Diplomat, we started like a couple of episodes, but we can only watch the Netflix shows after my mom sleeps, so we're not catching up too much, so that's where we are.
So continuing on the theme of what you said, things not having a satisfactory ending, do not watch House of Dynamite. So it's all about the basic plot. This is supposed to be an attack, but then they show the different perspective for 2 hours without actually showing what happens after the attack. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler for anyone, but I've saved 2 hours of your life, so thank me later. What about you, LR?
A show actually which I've been looking forward to for the past couple of months. I recommend anybody that has a partner to watch the show with their partner, called Nobody Wants This. It's a very, very wholesome, great, snuggly, cuddly sort of show. And it's a feel-good 30-minute episode to watch.
I
before
love
you
it.
pass
I love season 1.
With Kristen Bell, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's for everybody. It's just nice and wholesome, and I like the modern approach and angle towards dating and love and all of that as well. So that's what I'd recommend.
Another show I watched yesterday was The Asset on Netflix. 6 episodes, went through that pretty quick. Decent Danish show, undercover cop thing. Not too great, not too bad. Decent watch. Around just 6 episodes.
And another shout out for Celebrity Traitors.
Oh,
which
that's
is
been
so
so
funny.
good. So
and
good.
It's so good.
I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than the other ones, right? And the thing what the British guys are doing, right? The Americans also tried having celebrities in it, but what they did is they got reality show celebrities. That was a bad idea. Now you see guys like Stephen Fry, Jonathan Ross, and all that stuff gives another dimension to it. It's so good.
So good. And the incentives are different, right? They're not playing just to win. They're also playing to have fun, which makes actually the dynamics a lot better. The roundtables, there's not a lot of collusion. So I mean, there is some. There will always be groupthink. We play FPL. We know about groupthink, but there is not so much collusion where everybody is already decided that we're all voting this guy out. It's almost like a healthy discussion. You're part of it, and I really like it. So it's.
Yep. And
have you guys seen The Lost Bus? Is it worth a watch?
No,
the Apple team.
The Matthew McConaughey one. I didn't like it. There's too much shaky cam. I can't stand shaky cam movies. It's entirely 2 hours of shaky cam. Makes you feel like you're gonna puke.
Got it.
So getting back to Nod, Nod also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Right, guys, so today we're not planning to go too stats heavy. There are a couple of things we want to discuss in terms of tactical shifts we've seen. Let's start first up with Salah. Aladdin, this table you sent me earlier, it lists Salah's NPXGI from game week 3. And there's a clear upward trend of improvement, right? You've seen game week 3, 4, 2. In fact, it's from game week 1, in fact. Sorry, so this is for the season. So we see the 986. You see there's a clear trend of against Brentford, 0.74. Against Man U, 0.5. Against Palace, 0.53. Chelsea, also 0.53. Getting the chances, but only 1 goal from that.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, I tweeted that when GU fell, that we have a nice couple of enablers, cheap enablers in GU and Krupi. Should we want to get a couple of expensive assets, Liverpool assets, Bruno, etc.? And I got so many comments like, "You're looking at Salah seriously? He's a dead asset. He's a dead asset." And people just presume that the reality that is in your head today is going to be the reality that exists game week 11, game week 12 onwards, which is not true. You need to have an open mind, and it's worth paying attention. That finish was world class. Yes, he had a fair few bad touches before that, but the talent is there. The more they play, the better the chemistry should get on paper, and the trajectory is good. Salah's getting into better and better positions and getting more and more chances every game. So one to watch very closely.
Pras, open mind towards game week 12, 13. Plus, you're muted. Yeah. I couldn't get your audio. Still
Sorry,
muted.
kids noise in the background. No, it's fine. Sorry. Of course, open mind. Like the exact example is right in front of our eyes, which is Haaland. We started the season saying Haaland is washed. Like, we had him all last season. There were people who owned him were idiots. And this season now, if you don't have Haaland, you're an idiot, right? So this is what I hope that we try to be consistent in our content creation is be consistent in your messages, right? Like good players don't turn into bad players. There is a trend and slowly you can change your opinion if that trend becomes more and more apparent. But here there's an opposite trend. So I'm not saying look at this trend that LR has shared and said, okay, now just change, get Salah, Captain Salah. No, but the trend is telling you that the tide is turning. If the minutes are also getting there, and they go hand in hand. Salah scores 3 in a row. There's no chance he's missing a midweek game, right? He scores 3 blanks. Maybe Slot says, let me try it around. Let me have Isak, Ekitike, Words kind of setup. So they go hand in hand. So open mind for sure. And this is the reason why when we get to a Man United conversation, I don't have certain Man United picks because I wanted to keep that structure open to go for either a Salah structure or for a Man United mid structure for that very reason. So save transfers if you can and game week 12, 13 be open.
You know what would be interesting to see is that once we enter, let's say, pre-game week 12 territory, and we'll all have decisions to make because a lot of teams have good fixtures, it'll be interesting to look at last 6 game week NPXGI data at that point. Because I feel like Salah's going to give their competitors a run for their money. And we're sitting in a league where outside of Haaland, nobody's really done much in open play, set piece play. Nobody's done much in attackers. Like all the hauls that have been double-digit hauls have come from your defense, etc. Whether you spike the Rodon or a Mukiele or Gabriel, that's where majority of the points are coming. Semenyo in the first 4 or 5 game weeks, Pedro in the first 4 or 5 game weeks. In the last 4 or 5 weeks, nobody's put their hand up in terms of, except Pumo, but nobody's put their hand up in terms of just like attacking threat, right? Even Saka's a little muted at the moment. So I think there's a world in which a Haaland Salah structure also becomes quite feasible because you're not compromising on much. Nobody else has said, you know what, get me too.
That being said, we are going to talk about Manchester United. And if you look at combinations, for example, right? You're talking about something like a Bruno plus Saka is the same as, let's say, a Salah and a Dewsbury Hall. So there are
Correct.
differences there in that sense. But I think possibly Haaland blanking at Villa was the best thing that could happen for the game in general. Right? At least now there's a question to be asked. Now, if Haaland, let's say, got a hat-trick at Villa, we'd all be saying, what's the point even having the discussion now? 12, we can just captain Haaland again. But so now we're going to end up with Newcastle away and we're going to be looking, guys, who do we captain? Are we going to go Bruno? Are we going to go for Saka? That's made the discussion a bit more lively now.
I don't know if you clocked it, but my boy Jazzy made the switch before this week. He likes to play higher risk FPL. He did Haaland to Salah before this week.
That was, remember the last year what he did when he was at the top, like what, 1,000 or 2,000, he did the reverse transfer.
He just likes to play FPL this way. He likes to like play the high risk return. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, he doesn't. Yeah. So,
Jazzy is the devil on LR's shoulder, and we are the angels who keep telling him, play boring LR. No.
No, it's nice. Yeah, he's a good person to chat FPL to as well. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll really rate Jazzy's game reading, and he told us about the Manchester United players also quite a bit beforehand, and we can see that now play out in the tactics board we're going to discuss in the coming slides. Yeah. Should we jump away from Salah, move into Manchester United now?
Yeah.
So all right, LR, sorry, man. Look, we said what we had to say. You were not there on the board. We could be a little bit more bold with our look. Mbumo is very good. What can we say? Now you go.
No, I mean the fun bit was that I as soon as I reached home after that drive, I mentioned that how I love that Zoph had already made his mind about going Bruno, and I was like, you guys had a free reign in terms of just talking Bruno up and like not considering Bruno as a pick.
No,
and
that's not true, because Pras very clearly said that while Bruno is a good pick, it's not necessarily Bruno better than, but Bruno by his own is a good pick. Yeah. We did say that.
And I will be consistent today.
Yeah, but it's actually now, fun and games aside, trying to be very, very objective. This game is the first game that has put Bruno on the table for me. Very genuinely, I'm not even trying to be like contradictory in my statement, and it's in congruence with what we're trying to do here and having an objective, open mind, right? Like I was talking to Zoph, and there are two things, and like Pras, don't take offense, okay? But the Bruno lovers like tend to overcompensate the love for Bruno, where they sometimes, and it's not just you, I've seen it all over Twitter, they tend to not look at the Bruno pick from the other lens and genuinely question whether this guy is worth 9 million or not. Like genuinely that is what sort of irks me the wrong way in terms of, okay, I'm fine. Bruno could be a good, and he's an enigma because he's got so much conversation in the FPL ecosystem this season, because it's tough to come around to, right? Routes to points, set piece FC, in terms of how the league is shaping up, DEFCON, etc. And we're all trying to wrap our heads around this. And that's what irked me. But what I like now is that, in fact, people are giving up on Bruno when he's shown the highest open play threat and positioning in the last two games that he's shown in a while, in my opinion. He's genuinely taking up really, really good positions. What's enabling this is the fact that we've got two number 10s, right? We've got a wingery / forward number 10 in Bumo, who takes up either a right wing position or a center forward position. And we've got like a midfieldy number 10 in Cunha, who takes up either the number 8 position or the number 10 position. And if you notice United closely, Ahmad and Bumo rotate that position on the right hand side, and Bruno and Cunha rotate that position on the left hand side, in terms of the 8 and the 10, who's taking up which position.
Especially when Dorgu is not playing.
Especially when Dorgu's not playing, and I think he's going to stick with it, right? Like, stick with what works, in my opinion. Like, Zoph, you were worried about Cunha minutes being questioned. I think he's been our best player in the last two games. I genuinely don't see him being dropped in this form. Like, and you've been a Cunha fanboy, you understand how good he is, how his quality is, and it's all coming through at the moment. So that's where I've landed. And one thing I've noticed is Bumo's perception as a pick has gone up even higher, because Cunha got subbed earlier. I don't know if that's because Mount had a knock or not, but Bumo doesn't get subbed. And in the last 20 minutes, I was discussing this with Jazzy, he cheats like Salah. He genuinely cheats like Salah. You know how many goals and assists Salah gets in the last 15-20 minutes? If you notice Bumo consistently in the last 15-20 minutes, he's hanging last line, especially if you're leading 1-0 or 2-0, because then we are playing up, trying to get that game-killing goal through him on the counter. So there's a very good chance if Bumo spiked an attacking return in the first 60 minutes, he might, and if you're leading, he might spike a second return in the last 20-30 minutes and just behave like Mo Salah. He's actually playing the positions like him, shooting like him, and looks like a great pick. But is Bruno Fernandes a pick? Very much so. Watch this space closely, because his numbers have gone up, his positioning has gone up, and his open play threat has gone up considerably, in my opinion. So I am waiting and watching. I think both of them are picks. And then there is a third part here where I feel like Zoph pointed out to me that, it'll be interesting to observe United in the next 2 weeks, because there's going to be a fairly deeper block in the next 2 weeks against Forest away and Spurs away. And I'm like, when I'm thinking of a deep block, I feel like Cunha, now that he's got the monkey off the back and scored one goal, he might be the pick in those deeper blocks, because he's good in tight spaces, like scoring the kind of goal that he scored against Brighton as well. So, I think all three might be picks. And I'm definitely not of the opinion now that Bruno isn't a pick. I told Zoph before Wildcard that he isn't a pick, and my needle has moved into saying that Bruno might be a pick now. And I just think one thing is that we need to have a higher threshold for Bruno, because he's 9 million. I think like we are not looking at the price for Bruno Fernandes, because that's expensive. That's the one thing.
But that just goes back to what you also said earlier, right? Who are we spending the money on? The points of defense really are coming from the cheap guys. Everyone's under 6 million. Nobody except Haaland is delivering from the premium. So it's a luxury you can afford now.
Yes, that's correct. And you're holding your attacker till you have to shift. But I am of the presumption that needle might shift. That's all.
Some stats now from the Brighton game. Just quickly read these out. 0.8 NP XGI for Bumo, 0.57 for Bruno, and 0.39 for Cunha. I want to talk about the tactical shift that I noticed, and also what Carrick spoke about on Match of the Day. Should we do that now? Or Pras, do you have anything to add prior to that?
Yeah, I mean, LR has the most balanced view. Like, one of the things that irks me is that people compare one or the other. Like, when people say Munoz is a great pick, they don't say Lacroix is a terrible pick, Richards is a terrible pick. They actually recognize they're priced differently. And if you pay for one, you probably get the output that matches the price that you pay. So it doesn't have to be this is better or this is better, or I like cats, I like dogs, I like this, whatever. It should not be that. It can be that both are good picks, both are expensive. So oftentimes people have to pick between one or the other. I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is one can be a good pick because you're a certain type of manager that wants to move that position around. That, like the fact that Mbeumo has good fixtures, he's in form. Then you move him on to Gordon, then you move him on to cool. Like that's a style of play. There's another style of play that says, I don't mind. By the way, now the difference is 0.7, 0.6 between the two. So that don't mind saying, you know what, this position is now fixed. I don't touch this position. And those are the Bruno people. They don't mind saying, because I have Bruno, I may not be able to get a Joao Pedro, or I may not be able to get a Munoz. All right. They're okay with not going others because this is a glue position and they'll work around other things. I think both are right answers. So it doesn't need to be one is right or one is wrong.
I will play devil's advocate though, Pras. I'll tell you what. Until before 2 weeks ago, and I want to be point blank because we are transparent and we believe in being transparent, I felt like Bruno was a lazy pick. I genuinely feel like Bruno was a lazy pick. When people were going Bruno, in my head, as a competitive FPL manager, I was like, yeah, do that. I'm happy to take you on, bro. I'm genuinely happy to take you on. Like that was that. And listen to me, right? I'm saying that was in my head because what happens is he's got the outlets, he's got the DEFCON, and he's got all that. But his open play positioning was genuinely poor. It was genuinely poor. That has shifted in the last 2 weeks. So like that's where the irking comes from. Where people in my head, I was like, that's just lazy. Like, yes, he's got the outlets, and he'll never be a wrong pick. Because he's got the routes to points, he's got the DEFCON, and he's Bruno Fernandes, right? He's capable of scoring goals and he shits points no matter what you do. But now the needle is shifting. So I wanted to make sure that in trying to slag off that Bruno, he's got great FPL PR. I don't want to overcompensate and not give an objective view. And he's become a better pick now.
But this is what I'm trying to say, that it's just a style of play thing. Like just because one pick may not be to taste, there's other picks, right, where people go in midfield. Okay, I'm going to go Wirtz. I'm going to go Enzo. I'm going to go Sar. I'm going to go Gordon. What happens? What do they do? But it's just that nothing they do becomes an issue because they're cells. It's okay. Because there's a part of the playing game.
They don't cost 9 million plus.
See, Zoph just said that price is not as big of an issue this year because what you're giving up is, if you went for a Bruno, you didn't have a third premium or second premium defender or something like. It's not huge. If you were living in a world where you were compromising Salah and Haaland structure by going Bruno, when Salah is on form, Haaland is on form, I hear you, right? If you go Saka, Bruno, Haaland, are you sacrificing anything? Not much, not a lot. And so who are you going instead is my question. Right now it feels like, oh, Mbumo, of course Mbumo. What about 4 weeks ago? It was not Mbumo, right? It was somebody else. It was Wirtz. It was Gordon.
Some of us said Pumo 4 weeks ago also.
Okay, and you see my point. It's not easy. It's very easy to say this guy is not a pick. It's very hard to say this is the pick because in that price bracket between 7 and 9 million, it's not easy to say anyone is a pick. And then you spend transfers, you move them around, and you do that something else. That's not a style of play thing as well. So that's all I'll say.
Correct. And I think that comes in congruence with how high we value one free transfer also, right? Because I guess the point of view to look at it, and the large point you're making is the chances of us being wrong with Bruno are slightly lower compared to the high risk subjective assessment sort of midfield attacking pick. But I also feel like the chances of succeeding are higher with the other pick. So it's you're right. It's a style to taste thing as well. And that's as objective as a view as we can offer.
Correct.
I do strongly disagree with you though, Pras. Dogs are way cooler than cats. We are clearly team dog on this podcast. I'll get thrown out of my house otherwise. So I have to say that.
Fine.
Yeah, but again, actually, go ahead.
I wish the world saw those couple of Instagram posts. They cracked me up. I saw them that morning, and then I next time I'll remember when you're doing something like that, which is funny on Instagram. I'll take a couple of screenshots and we should showcase it on the pod as well.
So, but as you guys were mentioning, right, teams evolve, and what we have seen from Amorim, the tactics have changed in the last 3 game weeks, which have enhanced Boomer's appeal. So let's talk about that first. The tactical shifts we have seen in Manchester United. Now, this is an NPXGI we have over the season so far. Boomer is ahead at 4.93. Bruno is at 3.54, and that's prior also to this tactical shift. That being said, a large chunk of that XG is that one attempt he got against Chelsea, which was from a free kick. So you don't technically call it an open play goal, I would say, right? That was still technically talked to me as a set piece attempt now. So I was watching this segment from the overlap, and they were talking about the shift in Manchester United's midfield, and the first thing he mentioned, the change that's happened now. See, in the first 6 Premier League games, they were playing 56% of their goalkeeper passes long. Now in the last 3 games, what has he done? 85%. That's a clear tactical shift. That's not happenstance. So that's clearly something they've decided. They're happy with Laman's distribution, and there's something that they want to do and use Sesko's height. Sesko's physicality plays a big part in this, where Sesko is sort of playing the Giroud rule that sort of we saw with Arsenal, right? Where he brings the other guys, the wingers around him, into play by his link up.
Sesko's height or Van Dijk's height if you're looking at the Liverpool game also. They used him as bait. and surrounded him with all these 10s.
So what's happening over here is now one of the centre backs is dropping into midfield. In this case, we saw it with Shaw. Shaw made the tackle which got Casemiro that goal, right, from outside the box. And what's also happening is Cunha is dropping deeper. So what they're effectively having now is now 4 in midfield, which sort of compensates for having that lightweight cover of Casemiro and Bruno there. And what this is also enabling is, like you see this next image over here, see the front 4 over here. So what's happening is that Cunha is dropping deeper, Bumo is sort of playing alongside Sesko, and he's pretty much center forward. There's no like wing role over here. You see him coming inside here, and like LR mentioned, it's very akin to what Salah used to play, not so much this season, but under the peak Klopp days, where he would just pretty much be looking to come inside wherever he can, and the constant outball. The immediate play as soon as you get the ball is play it long, and Bumo is your constant release. But what this is also happening is a very positive effect on Bruno Fernandes, because his qualities, attacking qualities, are being wasted purely playing him in that 6 sort of role. You have to use him, if not as a 10, at least as a number 8. So what's happening over here is Cunha, like you mentioned, LR, is coming back, dropping that deeper position, allowing Bruno to play a little bit further forward. And you see that extra back, the centre back over here, he's dropping around, sitting with Casemiro. This has really made a big difference in terms of the control they're able to have in the midfield, because this was a major issue the first few game weeks. And I really have to give credit to Amorim for that, because my biggest criticism for him is he wasn't willing to adapt. Now, you have to appreciate a manager to have the thing to stick to his principles, stick to his system, but you have to adapt your personnel, your tactics a little bit to the people you have, to the strengths of your team and what the other teams are doing. And he's done that. So this is something that has really changed the landscape towards how I view Bumo as an asset. And I think we should all not be stubborn, recognize this. Look at these tactical changes. And then what this made me ask is a Manchester United double up, because you guys are still generating XG from open play better than maybe somebody like a Saka, right? Now today, if I have Bruno, maybe I can look to add a Bumo instead of Saka, because ultimately how much XG are Arsenal generating from open play? I can take that money from, let's say, Saka to Bumo, takes you around 1.7 million. You can upgrade to get a third Arsenal defender maybe in that spot. You can upgrade a dead forward to Thiago. So a lot of opportunities I think we should realize now. Your thoughts, Pras? I'll start with you first.
No, I mean, I completely, it's spot on. The analysis is spot on. I watched this video, and I think that extra man, it's a fluid man. It can sometimes be a centre back who steps forward. It can be Cunha who steps in, is adding to that. And look, Amorim has decided that my centre backs are not good enough to pass through the press, right? So long balls work. Now, whether that was Brighton and Liverpool specifically, maybe part of it is that. Or is it that Amorim has completely changed because this is the Premier League? Let's watch. Because Nottingham Forest and Spurs are exactly the opposite of Brighton and Liverpool in many ways in terms of press. Now, Spurs press well. It's not that they don't press. But the way they defend is very different. So I'm interested to see how that one works out, how they defend against them. And then we take it from there. But now there are very obvious ways and patterns that we're seeing across the league, by the way, not just Man United. Of long balls are back a little bit more, bypassing the press is back a little bit more, throw-ins are back a little bit more. All of this comes back to defenders are getting spoon-fed defensive contribution points as well. So there's a bigger meta there as well.
I just wanted to say also one thing, that the fact that Mount had a knock is also a factor, because I think Cunha is really, really good for Bruno. Like, he makes Bruno a really, really good pick, because if you're thinking about off-the-ball pressing, Bruno's miles better than Cunha. You talk about those sprint stats, etc., that Baker cited in off-season as well. That's one of the reasons why our rest defense first press is Sesko and Bruno as the 2, and then Cunha and Bumo are as the wide pressers. The front 2 pressers are Sesko and Bruno. If you think about the goal that Uncle Casemiro scored, the second goal, it was because of the pressing that happened on that side, and Bruno was largely responsible for that. So you do get chances and high XG chances because of that. There was one more chance where I think it was Bumo who pressed on the right-hand side with Ahmad. He got the ball, and then he was pulled down. He didn't get a pen or something, and Bruno was stationed in the center of the box for a 0.6 XG tap-in if he was not pulled down, and Mbumo had a chance to cross the ball to Bruno as well. So this off-the-ball pressing structure is also really, really helping Bruno. And one thing is, people talk about pens and number of average penalties that a team is going to get in the league. I would be happy to wager that United get the most number of penalties in the league this season. It's just the kind of players that we have. Like, every time Ahmad, Cunha, Bumo dribble into the box with the kind of ability that they have, we look like winning. We're good for a penalty a game. Like, we're that high. The chances for us winning penalties is that high, which makes Bruno a superior not because of the routes to points, because the routes to points will be more prominent than the routes to points in other teams. I think we'll win more pens. So I think both are on the table.
I think that should have been a penalty also, but that being said, it just did get a faint touch on the ball. But it was the first time owning Bruno now for 1.5 seasons. I expected it to be maybe sort of a dull watch, but it was not. It was very engaging. In fact, I remember right in the first action, we talk about players goal hanging. Bruno, right in the first action, he didn't get a pass and he literally went and hung on the crossbar. So he was literally goal hanging this entire game, but he wanted that goal. I think more so it was his 300th game. That also played a part in it, but wasn't a dull watch at all.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, like Pras said, what happens against deeper blocks and if this tactic sticks.
So now linking back to that, right now, let's say we want to say, okay, fine, I'll wait till game week 12 to see what Boomo does. But now around, I think he's expected to depart for AFCON around 16 or 17. The longer we get closer to that date, don't you think he becomes less viable? I know we do get the transfers to sell him, but ideally, knowing the FPL managers we want to keep those transfers for later. So how do we find that balancing act, LR?
How do you... We live in a world where the only attacker that has performed at the moment is Haaland, and there's nobody else that put their hand up. I think even if for 4 weeks, if you have a consistent attacker offering you 3 chance involvements a game, even if for 4 games, you take it because there's nobody else that putting their hand up. In a world where we are not going to bother ourselves with the 6 or 7 defenders we have because DEFCON and set piece goals happen anytime. If you're set with your double Arsenal defense at the very least, if you're set with a good keeper, if you're set with Senesi as your 3rd or 4th defender, you don't need to spend transfers in defense. Even if it's for 4 weeks, get attackers that are putting their hands up.
I'll just read out the fixtures now. After Forest and Tottenham, you have Everton at home in game week 12. Now we're talking about that week not being good for Haaland, so you potentially might want to bring in a Manchester United captain. Saka has Tottenham. I don't think Arteta will be very expansive in that game. It's pretty much 1-0 to the Arsenal every time, right? So then Palace, difficult fixture. West Ham, very good. Wolves, very good. Bournemouth, I still don't look at it as a bad fixture for your attackers. They might lose the game, but I think he will have plenty of opportunities, especially somebody like Boomo, because this is again a transitional game similar to Brighton. So the fixtures definitely improve from game week 12. I think that's the entry point I'm potentially looking at for a double up.
Yeah, it could be. The real question is Liverpool putting their hand up by the time they're coming? I'm pretty convinced that there is not going to be a second attacking pick from City the way they're playing. So, that's sort of not become a question in my head. So it's just about whether Liverpool show up or not by that time.
Plus, what are your thoughts on it? You don't have any Manchester United attackers right now. You don't have Bruno or Boomo. What's your plan around 12? Chido Obi. But I think you're mentioning you're evaluating the Liverpool landscape. It's going to be either a Liverpool attacker or a Man United attacker in 12 for you.
Exactly. So Gordon is that spot where they'll either go to Bruno, could be Boomo, could be Gakpo, could be Salah. Like there's lots of options. So I'm trying as much as I can to take 3 free transfers. But we'll see with the Anderson injury. That goes a little bit into my bus team, but I'm trying to be open-minded about it. And I agree with LR. Like, you don't have to think about AFCON this much, man. Like, you already have so many transfers. You already have so many glue defenders if you played your wildcard. You already have players like Haaland, Semenyo, who you're not going to sell anytime soon. You have a dead spot striker. So what are you actually going to use your transfers for? So I wouldn't worry about it. Get your upside, guys. And double up to me on paper, if you told me you're looking to double up, I would say, is that too much money in your attack? And, Man United fans get overexcited. We are still open to like losing 1-0, right, to Spurs. And nobody is very, very shocked. So there is progress. But to me right now, double attack seems a little bit OTT. But maybe by game week 12, I change my mind.
The next 2 games really will tell a lot because again you have Dyche back at Forest and Spurs are tricky. Although that being said, they've been poor at home, better away. So I'm really looking forward to see what you guys do if that dude gets his haircut over the international break or not.
That's the main thing. That's why everybody is rooting for Man United in the next 2 games. I hope they are.
Anything else on Man United, guys? Move on to dilemmas. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, how do you see the Forest game? Did you see the Bournemouth Forest game? The data for Bournemouth, they had 0 big chances. And how do you read the Forest game? Because I have to decide whether I want to prioritize Boomo or John Philippe as a transfer. How do you see that game playing out, Forest away?
Very much what we expected from Dyche, right? It's very Dyche and he's got it going sooner than we thought. In terms of attack, they offered very little. I think both teams combined had under 1 XG. But there's also a bit of game state, I think, with that. After going 2-0 up, Bournemouth didn't really need to chase the game. And as we've seen, Bournemouth's underlying data has also regressed in terms of attack over the last 5 to 6 game weeks. Only now mid-table for XG. So very difficult to get a read. But I think the next 2 games in particular, he'll want to target for wins Manchester United and Leeds. Because then right after that, you have Liverpool away. So it's important for him to get that first win in the league on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, he's trying to figure stuff out, right? There were 3 halftime subs, so it's not yet the oiled machine that you expect from Dyche. Whether he'll have it by Man United game, we don't know, but it's not a fully well-oiled machine. So that's what I will say. Actually, this is a good question. If you just don't mind going back to Man United from Harry in the chat, when Bumo does go and Ahmad goes, that right-hand side which is working so well right now, LR, what's the view? Like, who actually plays? Do you think Mount plays, Bruno plays there, and does the attack suffer?
Mount or Bruno? I actually wanted to talk about that because Casemiro's got the legs for 60-70 minutes. He doesn't have the leg for 100 minutes. And he got in menu for Casemiro this game. And Bruno and Casemiro was light as hell. We conceded 2 goals immediately after.
Bruno
and I think Amorim will learn a
Bruno and
Bruno
Manu.
and
Bruno and
yeah.
Manu. Yeah. He's light. It's light as hell midfield. And I think we might see a lot of double substitutions where Bruno and where Ugarte and Menu start playing as the pivot and Bruno moves further forward in the last 20-30 minutes of the game. If you think about it, actually, that no assist from Bruno, he was further up the pitch as well. So that might be another tick in Bruno's books for the future if that trend continues. But yeah, man, Mount or Xerxes, there were reports coming out that Menu, Xerxes are expected to have greater roles in that Christmas period, and they're going to say no to loans because both of them want to play minutes to get more involved in the World Cup as well, right? But there are reports coming out that they're not going to let any of the players go because they will have a greater role during that period because of AFCON.
Speaking of AFCON, there's another point also I wanted to raise now. It's not just Bumo we have to consider. There are teams over there who already have, for example, Ndai and Sar. You're adding Bumo to that, then it becomes potentially 3 players you have to take care of for AFCON. So is there a certain threshold there, plus we should potentially be thinking about, or as many X is fine?
I mean, of course, if you overdo it and then you also get injuries, you see the field that you're competing with, they're going to be, once they reach 5 free transfers, they will be holding it. They're not going to be spending it. And these are the very, very engaged, the very good managers. The idea isn't that as soon as you get 5, you go shopping and then 17, you are done. Like you've spread the money around. So I think that's how you should be looking at it. So keep it minimal, but it's always about chasing the points versus saving the transfers, right? So if it's worth it, then do it. But yeah, like for example, people had Ndai and they were looking to sell. I had the same view. You shouldn't sell because he's going to AFCON in 8 weeks, man. Like people can get also injured. Like you can't plan for that this early.
Anything else, guys? Move on to Discord dilemmas.
Yep.
So some great questions have come in this week, guys, from our Discord. Thanks for that. It's been really good discussion. We also have the Wildcard 10 channel now. I do recommend joining that. We're still doing the offer where you have to pay only for 10 months. You get the entire year free. So that's 2 months free if you sign up using the link patreon.com/FPL Wire or signing up as a YouTube member. First up, so this is from Rico. With the clear shift in impetus to goals from corners and free kicks, the appeal for centre backs has gone up further. Seeing the clear lack of big points at forwards, would it not be smart to invest in 5 good CBs and just play them every week regardless? LR, your views? I mean, it feels like a question we've been asking for quite some time, almost every other week.
Clean sheet odds matter. Would I have been happy playing Anderson this week? No. I was looking at Malik Thiaw on a bench boost. Would I have been happy with no clean sheet points? No. Would I have been happy playing a Sunderland defender this week? No. Like you want your defenders to have 20% plus clean sheet odds, and then you go chasing the goal and the DEFCON, in my opinion. I think the base and the most predictable thing outside of DEFCON is the 4 points for the clean sheet. Go chasing that first. So if you're happy spending, and then are you going to spend on 5 defenders who are 5 million or 4.5 million plus? Not really, because then you're thinking about the value that the Rodons and the Mukiles of the world are offering as well, right? So then when you're thinking about squad structure, what comes to my mind is Arsenal double defense is essential. Maybe people who've gone triple, congratulations. I think that's a pretty good move as well. Outside of that, Senesi is good, but then fixtures matter. Am I benching Senesi next week when he's playing City? Yes. I can't play him just because he's a good defender for a good team. Clean sheets matter.
And no DEFCON for
Spot on.
Senesi, no DEFCON for Mukiele. These were guys who were in the top three for DEFCON for 90, right? So DEFCON is also unpredictable, as we've seen. Not a single Sunderland or a Chelsea player got a DEFCON in that game. And we were mentioning also, I want to show this table now.
Daesh ain't giving DEFCON to anybody, bro. Like
Absolutely,
nobody in the
right?
opposition is getting DEFCON, man.
Sorry, got the wrong slide over here. Yep, yeah. Daesh, no, it's just not just other teams. It's not just very predictable. Like a lot of things, we try to analyze it, but it depends a lot on a game state, right? For example, take that Leeds West Ham game. The reason I think Rodon got those DEFCON is after Leeds went 2-0 up, they were just sitting back and inviting pressure on the whole game. Would have been a bit different if, let's say, if they were chasing the game, let's say if West Ham went a goal up? Not necessarily, right? So it's a bit variable. I don't think it's as predictable as we'd like to think. Pras, your thoughts?
No, I completely agree with LR. Nothing to add here. Like you have to chase that. But on the predictability points of, it is also predictable. Like it's not single game predictable, but over the season it is predictable. Like I know that if I pick Van de Ven, forget the goals because he's turned into whatever Messi for a different reason. But if I pick a Van de Ven or I pick a Senesi, I will get more DEFCON. This is as predictable as it gets. You can write a check that Senesi will get 10 more DEFCONs than Van de Ven this season because that's the way the team plays. That's how his role is within the team. So it's that predictability. But yeah, single game predictability is tough. Like you say, it's game state. Sometimes players get robbed. Like Richards got DEFCON, but the game finished and then he didn't get the DEFCON. The 10th game, the 10th DEFCON he got, which got adjusted by Opta. So there is some variance, but I would say still DEFCON is the single most predictable action in terms of a player's output, more than assists, more than clean sheets, more than goals.
For defenders.
For defenders, of course.
Yes.
I found this chart interesting because somebody on the Discord was mentioning that Hassan, our timestamp guy, was that Senesi has a floor of 4 points against Man City. Not necessarily true. You expect the Chelsea and the Man City games to be good for DEFCON, but these two teams are some of the potentially worst teams to play against for DEFCON.
If you think about it, it makes sense, right? Just keeping the ball.
They just keep a slow possession style. Both teams are direct. Those are the teams that are good for DEFCON. These guys pass it slowly around the pitch. So you have to keep things like this, I think, in mind. And of course, this data is going to evolve. But I'm interested to see how consistent this is because we do have 10 game weeks now. 10 game weeks is not a small sample size. It's over a quarter of the season. It's something we need to monitor over here. I found this quite interesting.
Yeah. Shout out to the boys at FML FPL also. They had the very nice observation about why Richards is getting so many DEFCON as well is because it's tilted on Munoz' side, right? So if any direct team is attacking Crystal Palace, they see that Munoz is playing upfront as an attacker. So they are trying to attack that side because Mitchell and Gay is much more robust as a defensive side. So if there's a team that's hoofing, they're going to hoof on that side. That's where Richard gets slightly better DEFCON as well, generally.
But I do think 4 at the back is quite viable in that sense.
I agree. Definitely viable. Is this a good time to just bring up the captaincy conversation also?
Sure.
Because I'm not ready for it yet, but Gabriel is insane, man. He is nuts. Like if you watch that Crystal Palace game, and if you watch any Arsenal game, and if you come out thinking that Gabriel doesn't deserve at least 13-14 points in that game, what are you even doing? Like it's insane. At what point? I just think that we need to open up the conversation. At what point does he become a genuine captaincy option? Because against team like Burnley, they're going to have 6-7 corners. I reckon that's how they play. Clean sheet odds are very, very high. DEFCON, yeah, he won't get against a team like Burnley, but like he's such a good attacker. And there is a chance for a double-digit haul in these easy games, especially at home away. I don't know, but at what point do you open up your mind? Pras, I wanted to come to you about this. Like,
he's my first team vice captain. Like, so I do agree with you. And I sent the screenshot obviously yesterday. So immediately that was my thought. But you see, ultimately, there is also, you remember 4 weeks ago, we got a Discord dilemma question on why do people pick 6 million defenders when there are these 4.5 defenders that are getting DEFCONs every single game. And what did we say? Gabriel will score 1 header and then everybody will pick him. Because that's what you forget with these players. But now we are reaching now an overcorrection on the other side where, okay, Gabriel will score headers, but he scores 4 headers this season, right? So, okay, he looks threatening. I get it. All of that. I get it. But the odds of him scoring in a game are still fairly low. like West Ham game, right? People were convinced Gabriel is going to score a header against West Ham because Potter's team is so bad. Of course, Nuno then joined, but then still West Ham are still bad at headers at corners. Rodon just scored one, so we know West Ham are bad. Gabriel didn't score a header, so it's very hard to predict Gabriel's goal scoring in a particular game. And clean sheet is also under 50%. So your counter could be that Haaland could also blank, right? It's Bournemouth, and I get it. But all I'm saying is Haaland will score over 20, 25 goals a season. So you're taking a very high chance that you get a goal from Haaland, and you still have the upside with Haaland because he could get a brace, he could get a hat-trick. With Gabriel, yeah, there is a ceiling there, but it's also that he could end up with not a clean sheet in a game, and that's normal. It happens a lot, despite what we think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because it requires so much rewiring, right? I think the last time we ever considered a defender captain was maybe when Trent existed. Even then we didn't consider it. When Baines existed.
Trippier was also there. Remember peak Trippier?
Yeah. Like
I captained him a couple of times.
Yeah, man, it'll be...
I've never captained a defender. I think 15 years of playing now, not once.
Yeah, Reece James, double game week. Chelsea scored a brace. Game week 1, missed game week 2.
Yep.
I had him captain. Like, they're beautiful, man. Because you're like, okay, goal is in now. Clean sheet looks good. So you're already sitting on 15 points. So it's great.
Yeah. When the first goal comes in before the clean sheet, it's such a good watch. Like that's what happened on Friday night when we were watching. Sorry, Zoph.
But you
when
spin
we
it
were watching
around, man. You spin it around. Let's say if somebody does a silly back pass or something, he concedes in the first 5-10 minutes, and you're rooting for your centre back to go and score.
Yeah, exactly. No,
that's
you're right.
Fine. That's sad for every other team except Arsenal.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just like cheering on my attackers more. It's just more engaging. Ultimately, play FPL for engagement, and I get it. Ultimately, the end product might be better, but I just can't watch the game in the same way.
Haaland will not have 8 shots. Arsenal will have 8 corners. Just FYI.
Yeah, I'm cheering every time Rice or Saka have the ball for a set piece, man. I'm so excited. I'm expecting it. I'm anticipating it.
Don't lie, LR. We know about the hate for Arsenal.
Oh, I've got triple Arsenal. I'm happy with that.
And that's just to hide the reckless hate. The next one is...
Go on, next one.
Sorry, I couldn't decide to laugh a little bit after that. So the next question is about captaincy. Abhimanyu is asking pretty much now looking for alternatives at Haaland. When and who?
So I feel like right now, captaincy wise, if you're looking at Gabriel, he's an option. And in open play threat, I am not comfortable with captaining a Saka at the moment. If you're captaining an attacker outside of Haaland, there are just 3 players that I would be okay captaining. I think Salah is still Salah, big dog. The data is trending in an upward trajectory. I like the high line against Aston Villa. I think that game suits Mo Salah. So that's where you go if you want to gamble. Or then a United midfielder, because we are doing well in open play threat at the moment. But I don't know if I want to make the bet against a deep block Sean Dyche Forest team at home. So if you're looking at alternates, Mo's the way.
Abhimanyu captain Gordon this week.
Yeah,
I mean, this week, had you gone against Haaland, everybody else also blanked. Like, which attacker scored? Apart from Mbeumo, which I don't think many people even had, let alone captain. So it's easier said than done, because when you go against Haaland, you have to have a guy who scores, and you have to hope that Haaland doesn't score. We've been there before, man. Like, it's nice to say that after the week, it sounds like this was the week to go against Haaland. Of course, he blanked. But he also missed a one-on-one chance. Like
Jazz captain Mo. Exactly.
I mean, that's
I'm just generally saying. Yeah, but I'm just saying the only comfortable big dog bet I still am okay making is Mo. Nobody else.
Yeah, and this week I think Arsenal picks are good this week.
Yeah, but that little bit of illness etc. has me worried.
Yeah, but they'll probably get a rest. Like I don't see Saka starting. So I don't see Saka starting, for example. So Martinelli starts and whatever. So you can test it. But Burnley away is still a very, very good fixture. But then so is Haaland at home, who've just come off a loss, who will get a rest as long as he's fit, of course.
I think you can take Haaland on in an away game in particular. I think that's what I think is a consistent trend we have seen over the few seasons. In difficult away ground, that's potentially the only time you can take him on.
Yeah, game week 12, when he goes to St. James's Park, that's when you think where you want to go.
That's it. 2 weeks ago, we had another question saying just triple captain any week Haaland is at home. Now we're saying let's go against Haaland in the week he's at home. Like I can't say that.
And Haaland had his good chance. He had his big chance in the game as well against Villa.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely. But to be fair, he's not saying that we should go against Haaland this week. He's asking how do we identify when to go. And I think that's
Yeah,
pretty,
away game against top 10 teams, you can try.
yep, I'd agree with that. The next one.
And even top 10 teams, it's like teams who are built to defend. Like the three teams that come to my mind are Palace, Arsenal, and Newcastle United.
This one's from Mick
Like I
Kaleja.
would captain Haaland against Manchester United because we don't defend. Our defense is not there. So like it's even that.
Right. Now, the
Yep.
next one's from Mick Kaleja. Apologies, I forgot to include the name on here. He's asking at this stage of the season, that's over a quarter, the reasonable sample size of games played, how important is it to recalibrate our expectations of teams and individual players in terms of form, fixture difficulty, and fixture proof ability? So basically asking the example of, let's say, Joao Pedro. Now has good fixtures but does not have underlying data, doesn't have form. And then you compare that to somebody like a Thiago, who has very much the form, very much the underlying data, but very poor fixtures. I think this is a relevant question, and let's look at the Joao Pedro thing first, right? Now, with Joao Pedro, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about we can't read too much into his data because there were 2 games with a red card. And I accept that. But now you look at the games he's had recently, these have been good games. Forest away was a good game. Sunderland at home was a good game, and he hasn't had the underlying data. So I think irrespective of fixtures, now you realize that's just not a great pick. And with Thiago, I think what's potentially helping maybe in the difficult fixtures, he's being so much of a counter-attacking weapon that is working. He's looking very talismanic to his side. So I'm getting about the point also, especially because this year there are fewer fixtures to target. The only teams you can say right now, you can pretty much say that, yes, easy fixture are Wolves and West Ham. Forest, you could have said that before Dyche being appointed, but apart from that, are there any particular fixtures, Pras, that you look at and say, yes, I do want to capitalize over here?
No, that's a great point, actually. This is a great meta point this season. I have 2 ways to answer this. Number one, fixtures still matter, but the answer is it matters little less. So the way I mathematically think about it, for better or worse, the way I play is every time you play a player against a team, you're tossing a coin. And the better your player is, the chances of you being right, so let's say your heads is, let's say 80%, if you're putting Haaland against Burnley, right? So your chances of it being heads is 80%. If it's the easier the fixture, the higher the percentage. Does it mean it's 100% guarantee? No. Like Gordon played Fulham, did nothing, right? He made 2 easy chances, but even though your coin said 60%, it landed on 40% and he blanked. That's what fixtures are. So what you're changing now is, maybe if it's a promoted team, it's not 70%, it's not 80%, it's 55%, it's 59%. You still want the better fixture, but the chances of you being bang on, that it's a bang on game and he's going to do really well, are lower because the teams are better. Does it mean you stop targeting fixtures? No. Does it mean fixtures are less important? Yes. But both can be true, is what I'm trying to say.
Alar, your thoughts?
I think fixtures are less important because we've been talking about how the quality of the teams between 1st to 15th is so tight. But the problem with Chelsea's fixtures is there are still 2 or 3 targetable fixtures that exist in the league. And Chelsea have 2 of those fixtures in the next 3 games. Which is why I'm still slightly at a pause in terms of, should I do it, should I not? Like, because Wolves and Burnley are great fixtures. They are probably the only 2 good fixtures that you really, really like, because I think Leeds and Sunderland are good. Like, as in they're tough fixtures. They're not as easy as we perceive them to be. So they fall into the actually not so easy fixture. But Wolves and Burnley are genuinely easy fixtures the way both the clubs are playing at the moment as well. But, what you said about Pedro after the comments that Maresca made is he's just not fit at the moment. There's just a lot of he's not Joao Pedro, he's Jock Pedro at the moment. Like there's just like flimsy moving, he's walking, not even attacking. Every time there is a ball that's getting carried by either Garnacho or Neto from either of the wings, Enzo and Casido end up sprinting further forward than Pedro. Pedro is always like at the edge of the box not because he's being smart and he knows how to take good position. It's just because he's not fast. He's not aggressive. You want your runners to be aggressive, and that's the frustrating bit about Pedro, where he's just not making like driven runs into the box. I wish he did that.
Yep. In terms of fixtures, I don't think Burnley away is necessarily a great fixture. Maybe they were on the road, but at home, I think they will keep it reasonably tight. I think we struggle to open up these deep blocks. I'm not expecting us to score more than 2 necessarily.
But Wolves is before that.
That's the thing. Wolves, and again, will they have a new manager by then? It's just somehow always happens the time that Chelsea rock up to play a abysmal team, somehow they change their manager just before that. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they give Pereira at least till the international break.
Yeah. What impact do you think Delap will have on Pedro?
It's very interesting now because I think Pedro needs to be brought out of the team both because of form and fitness. I think you put Delap at 9, put Enzo at 10, and I think what I would like to see. It probably won't happen this weekend right away at Tottenham, but I think that might happen by the time we reach Wolves. He's mentioned now prior to the Carabao Cup game that Delap is now ready to start but not ready to play 90 minutes. So it'll be interesting. He might even chuck him in against Tottenham. It wouldn't surprise me because what Delap offers is very unique. Think of it as Guiu on steroids. What Guiu offers, the constant pressing, the constant stretching of teams. So I'd like Delap in that team ASAP, and we do need it. The attack is struggling a little bit to create because even if you go back to the Forest game, all the 3 goals were set piece situations. We struggled to create anything from open play, and that has been a theme in the recent weeks.
Yeah.
So Pedro, I think, is a sell, man. Even if he scores a hat-trick in the next fixture, you have to say it's a bright
He
move
talked
to
about
sell.
some niggles also, right? Like he's been
Yeah,
having some
exactly.
niggles, and there was a latest quote that he will score, but don't expect 20 goals. He's never a 20-goal striker. Like all the noises are that, okay, let's calm down. Like
The Pedro Gyökeres
And-
frontline need the strikers who the managers want
Yeah.
to score.
exactly.
And in 2 weeks' time, Mr. Palmer will be back as well. So if Palmer and Delap
I
are fit,
hope so.
Pedro's minutes also become questionable.
Absolutely. On the other side of the international break, it becomes a bit of a rotation. So I do hope Palmer comes back by then, but that still remains a bit uncertain to me.
Yep.
The next one, just again a similar thing, right? Fixtures versus like route to points players. Similar thing from Macca Marvel.
This is what I was actually getting to with my long answer on probabilities.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
what he's saying. Just pick the guys who have the set pieces, pens, DEFCON. Ultimately, just ride it out. They will eventually get points.
Yeah. Big shout out to all these guys, man. Such great questions. I think they drive some really, really good conversation. So thanks, guys. Keep them coming.
I love that Maka has been in every like wildcard channel. Like this would have been my wildcard here. This would have been my wildcard here. You guys are getting these guys. Damn it! Why didn't I have this?
He was on a
Yeah.
Haaland game week 1 team throughout, if my memory serves me correctly. And then he went into a Salah team, and then he hates it. He hates it. And or did he stick with it? I forget now. But he was one of the OGs, and Eno as well on our Discord, who were the Haaland guys from the beginning.
Yep, shout out
Yeah.
to the boys. Right, should we look at some of the fixtures that happened this weekend, guys? It can go game by game. Could talk about
Yeah.
some of the results.
Just while you mentioned that also, a lot of people have realized are like still worried about rank and points difference, etc. Like I think so far, in a weird sort of way, that season hasn't even kicked off. Like people that have plugged 20, 30, 40 points ahead of you in the last 2 or 3 weeks is because of a Mukiele Hall or a Rodon Hall or a Van de Ven Hall. That's just random as fuck, right? Like those things are not sustainable. Like if you get good attackers, 2 or 3 weeks and you'll be plugging forward in no time. I think 50 points also right now is nothing, genuinely nothing, especially because I feel like we're still going on in the season in second gear. There's a lot left in terms of action.
Annoyingly, guys, no early kickoff again this weekend. And did you hear the news that this year on Boxing Day, there's only going to be one fixture? Just one Friday night game. That's an abomination.
Yeah, it's the end of a tradition. It's still rumors though. We'll see. Maybe there's more games, but yeah, it is a shame because boxing, for us beyond football also, like Boxing Day is the biggest sporting day of the year, right? You have the cricket, the Melbourne Test. I think what are there's some big events that happen on the same day. The Australian Open tennis, like there's a lot that happens on the day. And so you're like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit missing from our calendars.
Let's start up with Leeds, West Ham. Much to unpack over here besides the Rodon goal. Pras?
Much to unpack in the sense that, yeah, West Ham looked really poor, man. Like you expect that under Nuno they would start to get a little bit better in terms of their defensive strength. Doesn't look like it. I don't see DEFCON numbers, and even in attack, like they look a little bit lost. Is it because Paqueta is not working out in that false 9 or that position up top? I don't know. I don't know what to make of West Ham. I definitely had better expectations.
So they looked better in the second half, I thought, when Wilson and Potts came on. I think he was playing a lot of players in the correct positions at that point of time. But now it's interesting now for Bowen owners, I think, whether you hold or sell. I think if you don't have Mateta in your team, we advise everyone give them the Leeds fixture, but I think you move him on now. You agree?
You mean the Burnley fixture that's coming up?
The Burnley fixture is after Newcastle, right? They play Newcastle this week and the after.
Right. Right. So if you want to keep him, can still keep for Burnley, right? I mean, I
mean,
don't know. But then if you want to move to
the
Mateta, I
priority
can
sell,
understand.
who's a more priority sell, Pedro or Bowen? I think I would actually say it's maybe even Pedro at this point, primarily because you get the Burnley fixture for Bowen, right?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like, neither are priority, but yeah, it's a good entry point for Mateta. He's rising. I can understand if people are selling. But Leeds at home, man. Like you guys were on it again. Game week 1. Leeds at Ellen Road is just a different team in terms of how compact they are, and they will get a lot of points at Ellen Road.
But I didn't like Pras after how going 2 goals up, they sort of defended and went too further back. I think that's what really told me
I think
apart.
that's a Nuno plan. Like if you want to, like, Nuno wants you to come at them, right? So at some point they said, okay, no, you come at us because we can manage it. It's not an issue. And I think
That's a
it
good
worked
point.
to a large extent.
Ella, we were just discussing the Bowen pick now. If you had to get somebody like a Mateta, who would you rather sell, Bowen or Pedro?
I don't know, man. Toss a coin. It's really, really tough. I don't have an opinion there. Probably Pedro. Because
I'd
Bowen
agree with
still
that.
got something.
I still think Bowen is still a talismanic pick. Pedro is seeming very much like a coverage pick now.
And I at max you want to hold one of both of them for 1 or 2 more weeks. The next week the fixture is better for Bowen, so hold Bowen.
Agree. The next one.
No. Next week the fixture is better for actually Pedro. So
No, it's different because this week right now
Both are bad.
Both are bad fixtures
Yeah.
this week. Then the game week 10, 11 is better for both. But then will Pedro even start that fixture against Wolves? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I think it would be clearly keep Bowen. But I think if you have either of them and you don't have the other one to get rid of, you get prioritize Mateta over either of them. The next one, Chelsea, Sunderland. We got the early goal. I did expect the floodgates would open after that when
How was the
Garnacho
Bob
scored.
Sanchez experience, Zoph? I want to ask you about that.
Awful. Every time the ball came into the box, like, ball's going in, ball's going in, ball's going in. I kept saying it, but look at the defending for the last goal. Our centre backs aren't even a top 10 level centre back pairing, let alone our best centre back now is actually Josh Akeampong. Akeampong was the only one who did anything decent in that game. Once Dawson came on, the last goal, I don't know what he's doing. He's sitting there watching him, using him like a walking stick.
This is going to be fun, bringing popcorn, listening to Chelsea defensive.
It's awful, man. It's not just defense in terms of attack. Also, now we look at Enzo, right? I think you sent me the Enzo stats. Ella, let me bring those up. So let's just talk about Joao Pedro first. The Joao Pedro stats over here. This is the last 6 matches. 1 shot in the box. That's it.
In 3 of the games.
It's incredible. The
Insane,
data is
man.
absolutely. Even the penalty box touches, and they expect a forward to have penalty box touches. That's also absolutely non-existent. Not like the creativity numbers are there. In terms of NPXG, right? Now, this is what I wanted to talk about Enzo. Now, Enzo played in a more withdrawn role that game, but that being said, he did box crash a lot. His NPXGI, he had 3 chances created, 3 shots on target. 2 of the chances created were just flick-ons from corners. The one where he's getting most of his NPXGI is the one where he flicked it on and Garnacho hit it straight at the keeper. So, and if you look at his 3 shots on target, you watch back any highlights package, none of those 3 shots will even feature in it. There's such low probability, low chance shots, a very feeble attempt. So while you see the data was good over here for NPXGI for Enzo, and he's obviously not a must sell. He did not have a great game. It didn't look very much like a must-have fantasy asset in that sense. Cucurella, though, Cucurella was pretty much box crashing the entire game. Entire game is on the box. He had assist potential, goal potential. That was quite interesting to watch. I think at 6.1, potentially overlooking him, but the defense just isn't good enough to invest in.
Agree. And with Enzo, right? I like the Spurs game is better for Enzo compared to like Sunderland as a game. So is Wolves. So, be patient there.
So you give him the next 2 at least, and we can evaluate at Burnley. Guiu is dead to us as a pick now. I think some people may be excited to buy him now after that start. I think that's going to change now. Going for now that you have Delap back, Guiu's days are pretty much done.
I'm excited to buy him though, because his price point is very, very unique in terms of what he offers in money saving as well. So that's something that shouldn't be written off.
But you'll be buying him obviously after you get your bench boost done, right? You're going to dead end that spot.
Yeah, when I want to dead end that spot, because 4.2 million as an attacker is a luxury.
But you do have to be careful because it's a Chelsea spot you might potentially block out. That is the only caveat with that.
Agree.
But apart from
that... And Krupi looks a pick.
But apart from that, we really created very, very little the entire game. You have to say Sunderland were deserved winners.
Yep.
Anything you boys want to add?
No, let's move on to Newcastle Fulham.
Yep. So they also did a bit on Voltemade on Match of the Day. They talked about how Newcastle have had to adapt their tactical system, because one thing you notice about Newcastle, Voltemade, he's never going to make runs behind the centre back. He's constantly want to play the ball to his feet. So he's going to come naturally towards his goal rather than go away from it. So Newcastle have had to adapt their play according to that. Go ahead.
It's a bit of both, because they do also sometimes play from the wings as well, and then Voltemade is instructed by Eddie to use his height and stay in the center of the box. But if it's a more counter-attacking sort of fixture, Gordon and Elanga, I mean, my commiserations to Pras, man. I feel like Gordon owners are the unluckiest breed of FPL managers that have existed.
Those two misses, man. Like, I was like, what is going on, man? I can't get anything right. Like, what is that Murphy miss? But anyway, I will not complain.
Both misses. Bruno's miss was even easier in my opinion. Like, so at the very least, you deserved an assist. And I was telling Baker this, I'll tell you this as well. West Ham's coming. The points cash in game a la Mateta will happen. Be patient.
Let's hope so. Yeah. For both of us.
Still, the 60-odd minute sub is still so off-putting to me, man. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, you play fixtures, 70 minutes, guys on pens, 4 blocks of good fixtures. You just take a chance, right? I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Be open to selling him after this week, but just hold for West Ham, because that's like a high.
I'll hold for Brentford also, because game week 12 is when I need that slot, right? So we'll see.
But I feel like if you have money, be open to converting him to United midfielder if the same trends are sticking after this week.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Defensively, they weren't as sharp as they have been in previous games. Newcastle were very lucky not to concede in the first half. Second half, obviously, Fulham did score, but a lot more chances for Fulham given how poor their attack has been in the first half.
Yeah, man. They gave a pretty good game. I was watching the game and I wasn't confident of a Pope clean sheet because they were good value for what they did. I tweeted about this yesterday as well, but both the goals that Fulham conceded were quite indicative of why Fulham are a team that always show good shape, good XG numbers, but they've kept only 6 clean sheets since the beginning of last season. Like that Passy error was an error, and Leno just hasn't been good in my opinion in the last year and a half. In terms of the second goal, he parried it straight to the attacker. He should normally put that on the side. So there's a couple of brain fart moments that their defense tends to have, but they'll have good XG numbers because their shape is so good. They're a well-drilled unit.
Speaking of defensive picks, now Botman went off, I think, with a cut to the back of his head. We've had the Newcastle press conference already today, so there's no concussion. He is expected to be back this weekend, but they have now personnel coming back. He mentioned that Hall could be back soon, Livramento could be back soon, but more and more I watched the game, Thiaw really stood out. I think if you have to invest in that team, it's not Dan Burn or any of the fullbacks. I think Thiaw might be the most nailed centre-back, especially in the league now.
I went down a Thiaw dark hole last Thursday and Friday. So spoke to a lot of Newcastle fans. He's been their best defender all season. Eddie Howe doesn't like to mess around with his centre-back pairing too much. Couple of Newcastle fans, including Neil, said that if at all, even though Eddie Howe is in love with Dan Burn, Thiaw is less likely to get pushed out compared to Dan Burn. That's how good he's been. He's everything that Shar should be. Shar's 34 now. So this is like a phase out season for Shar and a phase in season for Thiaw, and that's what's happening at the club.
And from a Fulham perspective, it was interesting that Josh King was dropped for the first time this season. ESR came in, he was subbed off at halftime. Now we have news post-game that ESR has a hamstring injury. So potentially we could see King come back. But I thought Kevin was fun, man. Kevin, every time he comes on, and of course, he created the chance for that first goal, is always lively. Do you think a start is far away now, LR?
He should start, man. He's looked good every time he's come on. But obviously, he doesn't have the legs and doesn't do the defensive work that Marco wants him to.
Yeah, that's what Marco's not liking. He's not doing the pressing and off-the-ball stuff that Marco is trying to show some tough love. But it'll be interesting now. If you have somebody like a King, now you want to hide somebody like a Senesi. Could you do that this week? Play King against Wolves, Pras?
You could, but you're taking a little bit of an X-Men's gamble. But you could. I just don't have enough visibility on when King starts or whatever. Like ESR being out is good. I mean, from a X-Men's perspective for King. But I don't know. Like I think you can chance it, but it is still a gamble.
Yeah, the robots want me to play King over Semenyo. I don't think I'm going to do that.
I'd roll the dice, Zoph.
King over Semenyo though? Nah, bro.
No, not Semenyo. King over this is a great matchup for Semenyo. Pras saw the Villa game. Like Semenyo points are due in this game.
Absolutely. No, I was probably
Buendia
gonna.
was amazing against Villa. So yeah, it was
Against
in
City,
fact
yeah.
the same flank. Yeah,
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, so Anderson, the news isn't looking that good in terms of midweek. He's ruled him out. He hasn't mentioned anything at the weekend. But I think if it was likely to be back, we sort of had maybe would have got some positive news from today, but seems unlikely for this weekend now.
It's okay. We have a boy Rodon. He'll play.
Yeah, Brighton is not a bad fixture at all.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brighton, the next game, I think Man United one we touched upon quite a bit. Let's talk about Brighton. Minte looked quite lively. Pretty much every attack, he's their outball.
He's the only Brighton attacking pick at the moment.
But there's a problem they're having now, though, Ella, because of having a lack of a threat on the other wings. And what teams are going to? They're eventually going to double and triple up on Minter on that side. This is the game that Kadioglu on that side. So unless they get Mitoma back, I'm a little bit worried about Minte's
How long is he
prospects.
out?
I haven't really looked into it because Minte
He's
hasn't
close.
been-
He's close.
It's close, right? Maybe on the other side of the international break, because I think that will give them a lot more versatility. Right now, it's a little bit lopsided, their attack. And then you could maybe even have Minte go to the right where he's a better pick.
But he's the
else?
only pick there. At
Pretty
the
much
moment.
the only
Good pick
there.
also.
The next one, Brentford, Liverpool. So much to talk about in this one. Liverpool gave up 7 big chances. I think in the last 3 games, I think they gave up something like that against Palace as well. They're right now bottom 3, bottom 4 defense. And again, I'm not doing this to make light of Liverpool's like recent foes or to poke fun of them, but ultimately they are a defense we can target right now.
The highest number of big chances in the league conceded are by Liverpool.
There you go.
Yeah. A lot of people, were wondering. I saw Let's Talk FPL also tweet, where the fixtures are going to get better, etc. I told him, cut your losses, man. Right now, the defense isn't there. And there are way better picks and you're bleeding points here. Like, just convert him into an Arsenal points and it could lead to 30 plus points in the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. So that's my advice to every VDV owner there. Cut your losses. If they keep a couple of cleans, yeah, but you have to follow the data and the trends, and it's not improving at the moment.
Gakpo also is being subbed off at the 60th minute is a worry, right? Because he's the one I was potentially looking at. It's an easy entry point in terms of the price, very easy to get into in midfield. But and like we mentioned, he's actually been one of the most consistent performers. But plus, when the team is losing, when the results aren't falling your way, the manager is going to keep trying to change things, right? And Gakpo, again, this game was the fall guy.
That and the actual good fixtures happen 13, 14, 15 when actually it's 1 week. They all happen within a week. So I was anyway skeptical when somebody is not on set pieces and not playing 70 odd minutes. Like, this just tells me like I'm not touching Gakpo. Like, something has to drastically change in the next 2 weeks for me to go there. And this is the reason why we could have a very unusual situation where Liverpool have great fixtures and people are like, nah, I'm fine. It's okay.
But
we don't want any.
They're very close to a pen as well. They were that right decision
That
away
Gakpo
from a Mo
trip,
Salah
yeah.
brace. Yeah. So, Mo Salah brace and the conversation is very different. So I'm just saying, watch this space. Like, when you're planning your transfers, keep space for Mo, because he's the one that will be the differential.
Yep. Thiago is someone I think we need to talk about a little bit. The numbers have been very strong, but granted, those are exaggerated a little bit from the last 2 opponents he's played, right? Let me pull those numbers up real quick. Yep.
But I think it's comfortably the best 6.5 million under striker.
Absolutely, because there's only other Welbeck in that price bracket.
Yeah. So like, if he's a glue guy, man. You use him in rotations. If you don't have a good fixture, play him because he's got penalties. Plays 90 minutes in a Brentford team that are very decent. Shout out to their manager, right? Like, everybody was questioning the team at the start of the season and they've done so well. So just a good pick. Don't need to overthink the Thiago pick.
Yep, this is for the last 6 game weeks in terms of NPXGI. It's not that great, but every time I watch him, he's very talismanic to their attack, and they are good players. That one pass that Damsgaard made to Shad, I can't stop talking about it.
What a pass.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that David Silva pass that was long, few seasons ago. He had made. Do you remember when he chested it down and he played it in that 6-2 game to Dzeko?
It reminded me of your Cole Palmer pass against Newcastle United also, if I'm not mistaken.
The one he played to Neto and the Neto squared it?
Yeah.
Was that not No, that was the Brighton game. The one in which he actually himself also scored 4. You should know that, LR. Come on.
Yeah. I remember that pass. So good. I miss Palmer, man.
Thiago is very good.
By the way, on VVD, I just want to say one thing. Like, he's still a good pick. right? He's getting a lot of DEFCON because of height, because of people playing long ball. So it's now actually because people are playing that against Liverpool, because Slot keeps complaining about it. He eats DEFCON for breakfast, right? So when he does have good sheet fixtures, of course it's a bad defense. I'm agreeing with all of what you guys are saying. But when there are some banker fixtures coming, one guy who plays 90 minutes, who gets DEFCON, like I can see, I still have earmarked at some point to do Timber to VVT. I don't think it's a bad play as such, because Christmas period, 90 minutes, guy has goal threat as well, scores every midweek, man. So,
Yeah, actually, after the next 2 hours, looking at the fixtures, really good. Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, and then Wolves and Leeds again. So, like 6 genuine clean sheet fixtures there.
I think he might be the one I go for. I might ignore that attack altogether. That looks like the most attractive option in right now.
Yeah, but like the thing is that he might not get clean sheets in that fixture. And like every time you're trying to think of a team improving defensively, I don't know what Slot can do to improve this team defensively. They're pretty broken. The wing backs
That's what he says as well. He's like, I literally don't know how to fix it.
I think the Sobosla experimented right back. Like you can see Bradley getting a few minutes. He was trying Gomez as well. They will get better, man. Like it can't be this bad. Like I know we were talking about Man City like this last season. It did continue to get bad, but no, man. Like
they need
the good fixtures, they will get clean sheets.
But guys, tell me, if you see this data continue and no clean sheets, will you be it's sort of going into
it? Yeah, leave it for Gameweek 12.
Even in
12, 13.
I still don't know if I can really get behind that, because will I be like, why will I want to sell Timber? What is like?
It's true.
Yeah.
Like even you look at Arsenal's fixtures aren't bad. I think 12 is a decent clean sheet fixture. 13 Chelsea away, they could clean against us. Obviously not. That's probably the trickier one.
Arsenal have 38 decent clean sheet fixtures.
Pretty much. There's never going to be a reason you say that I get rid of my. If I try to get Van Dijk, it'll only be alongside the Arsenal guys, I think, not instead of.
Fair enough. I understand that. But I'm also saying, like, Timber is not Gabriel, right? I know we all are very keen on him and he has potential, but it is a possibility. All I'm saying is let's keep our mind open. It's not that it's a completely very bad thing if you get Van Dijk soon. So that's all I was saying.
Yeah. And Alisson being back is also a big factor. Right? We want Alisson back. If they're going to be conceding, because there's no keeper like him. And I think it makes a big difference rather in terms of the confidence of the back foot also, something we don't necessarily see in the stats. But the players know when you have Alisson behind you. It's a different order altogether.
Agreed.
So I think we like Thiago this week. But again, I think it's an interesting one in terms of priorities. I think if you need to raise money, maybe you go him over Mateta, but making a forward transfer this week, I think it's still the Palace guys.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going down in terms of striker position, like waiting 1 or 2 weeks to see how the ecosystem pans out might save you $1.5 million, because I wouldn't be surprised if Krupi just keeps his spot. Then there's a Graham Baker there.
Anything else in this fixture, guys? Move on to 1-0 to the Arsenal. I think we're going to be saying it a lot this season. But yeah,
that article was insane. That Baker shared.
So Pras,
you shared, I think.
I shared it. So Pras, I didn't send it to you. It was basically a draft they did on. Don't remember the publication. It's pretty much just saying that Arsenal won this game 1-0 by the struggle. The other team struggled. 1-0. Declan Rice headed it to Gabriel and pretty much fill in the blanks with the opponent. It's just a blueprint for the rest of the season. Right?
I mean, but the thing is, everybody else is converging to them. So this is the big thing, right? You see other teams are actually saying, yeah, this is not a bad way to actually win games, Premier League games. It's easier. It's not as easy as saying it, but look, man, they have their style. And I know Arsenal fans don't care how they win. They're winning the league. Their opponents are losing. So, and for FPL, it's good. We know route to points. We know what kind of players we want from that team. So no complaints.
And also, they are best equipped to defend against Arsenal. Arsenal are the best because everybody's transitioning into Arsenal because of the big guys that Arsenal have. They are capable of keeping clean sheets against this kind of football as well because they've got these big guys as well. So, I mean, keeping Palace quiet is insane. Like fully quiet. Like they got maybe once or twice Mateta hassled Saliba and there's some fitness issues there, but outside of that they were fine. Yep. Go on, Zoph, sorry.
I mentioned that, remember the screenshot I told you specifically to deal with Gabriel. Teams are actually doing drills just specifically to deal with the threat of Gabriel. That's all they're worried about in the corners. What do we do to this guy? And they still can't do anything about it.
Like, you can't do anything. Like, it's insane. Like, I urge everybody to watch highlights, and especially when you're looking at the corners. That's the first phase, and then the ball goes out. You watch Gabriel. You know what he's doing? He's like, "Come on, give the ball, give the ball." He's shouting. He's a madman. It's nuts. Like, it is like so fun to watch as well.
He's getting
So, yeah,
player
man,
of the year
he's-
this year, man. I'm here for it.
we would talk.
I mean,
it's
there were some comments in the chat, in fact, specifically from one individual on why Rice got the assist. I think what they have missed is that the rules have changed this year, that even if you're not the intended destination of the pass and it touches one defender and it gets to an attacker and they score, it's still a goal. So the simple reason why Rice got the assist is because Gabriel didn't touch the ball, even though he was very close to the ball. So that's the answer.
Yeah. Also, Zoph and I were just talking about whether triple Arsenal is in play or not. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents, because some people people either have Gyok or they have a third Arsenal spot open and are wondering what to do. Saka's open play threat is questioned quite a bit, but I think the next 2 games are money games for a player like Saka against a deep block as well. So I think you wait and watch and see what happens. And also, against Palace, firstly, remember that it's Palace. We questioned even Mo Salah in Game Week 1 against Palace, or any big player that plays against Palace, because they're a well-drilled unit. And he had a little bit of sickness as well. So I wouldn't jump to such early conclusions when it comes to Bukayo Saka there. I think he'll come through and the class will come through. And about triple Arsenal defense, actually, Zoph and I were discussing who would you go if outside of Gabriel and Timber, and Zoph was worried about Kala. I looked into him actually, Zoph, and I think he's a better pick than we think for, because their entire system exists because Calafiori helps them with a lot of tactical shifts in, because he drives into midfield, etc., and holds position in that spot. And second thing is, he's a far bigger set piece threat than Timber. Timber is not a set piece threat anymore. Timber actually stands on the edge of the box. So Timber has open play threat where he's inside the box, but he's zero threat on set piece. Kala's decent open play threat, not as high as Timber, but he's one of the giants inside the mixer grinder when they're using a set piece as well. So that
That's
sort of works in his favor too.
So that's changed for Timber, right? Because I do remember he got some set piece action earlier on in the season. So they obviously reworked that with the personnel.
When you have so many big guys, somebody needs to be outside, right? That's the thing.
Absolutely. But let's talk about some of the options I think that are perturbing FPL managers in terms of Arsenal assets. Gyökeres is a big one, right? Again, similar numbers, not similar numbers, but still poor numbers compared to most forwards. Do you move him on for a Mateta this week?
You know, I've thought about this. My gut feeling is give Gyökeres Burnley. I want to see him against a deep block, poor opposition, and then see what you want to do with him. But give him this game. That's where my gut
We gave
is.
him West Ham.
Yeah, but give him Burnley. I don't want to sit on the
I'm
fence
just
about a
saying,
gut
like, same applies for Joao Pedro. Like, okay, if you ask me who's the more urgent sell, I think it's Joao Pedro, because he's more useless. But between, like, if you don't have Joao Pedro and if you want to sell,
You can't put
actually,
anyone
I
off.
agree. You can't.
So,
Before
I'll tell you
Burnley
why I
and
would
before
put people
Sunderland.
off. Yeah, because I genuinely also think Brentford is not an easy game for
Right.
Mr. Mateta. Brentford know how to defend. Against West Ham, Gyökeres did get 2 or 3 shots, and they were decent, and he created them himself. He's ability-wise sort of like he's playing the kind of opponents he should be playing against, and just give him that game and see what happens. Like, if you waited so long, that's the only gut feel that I have.
Then
Wait,
next
give
is
him one.
Sunderland. I know Sunderland is better, but
I don't
you'll
see
never.
Sunderland and Burnley different. I
No,
feel
but then
like just
Mateta has
one.
Brighton. I think Brighton is a much
Yeah.
better fixture than Brentford. And also something I want to speak about Palace is the schedule is beginning to concern me a lot. Again, Thursday they lost their game. On Sunday, I could see visibly the players weren't there. I know it's Arsenal. Arsenal smothered them completely, but there was a drop-off in energy levels. Now, again, look at the schedule. They played Sunday at the Emirates. Now, Wednesday, they're playing in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. You know he's going to go strong. He's not going to rotate. Then again, they play Saturday against Brentford. So we are talking about Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's effectively 4 games in 9 days for Palace. So could Brentford be the game where you see that fatigue factor creep in a little bit? Potentially, yes, right? I think this is a major concern for Palace for me going forward.
I'm just hoping for a necktie start this midweek, and then I'm okay.
By the way, there's some team news. Richards is out this midweek. He has some small problem. So apparently he'll be okay for Brentford, but he's actually injured out for this midweek, and he's missed a lot of midweeks actually, even in Europe. So
that's a telling
something
sign.
to monitor. Something to monitor.
Anything else, guys, over here?
No.
Top 3.
Enjoy the Munoz.
Who are the top
He's
2
giving you
Palace
a
answers,
goal.
guys? And ultimately, are we agreement that Mateta is potentially the best pick, or it just becomes defensively where you have room?
I mean, depending on squad structure, Mateta, Sarr, Munoz, and Richards are all picks. Then you just see where
Even
you have to
Lacroix
go.
is fine, man. Like I
Yeah,
feel
Lacroix
like
is fine.
wait till he
Lacroix
scores
plus,
that.
but Lacroix, the problem is plus he's neither Munoz's price, he's not Richard's price, he's in the middle. And at that point, I don't think there's much to split him and Gehi. Gehi's point too cheap, and I think he has a little bit more.
I disagree on this Gehi thing, man. Like his DEFCON per 90 is at least 2 more than Gehi. So you're saying that I absolutely know that over the season he's going to get maybe 6 or 7 more DEFCON than Gehi. That in itself is worth it. Like if you're saying Richards versus Lacroix, I'm happy to have the conversation with Richards reduced minutes, but if he misses completely many games. But with Gehi and Lacroix, like I also like Lacroix dropped last night. So
he's what, 5 now? He had gone up and then he's gone back down.
Yeah. So now he's 5 million. I think 5 million is good price, man. Every game he plays, set piece threat.
The set piece threat isn't as much at Gehi. I think again, if you prioritize the defenders, it's still like you mentioned. I like Richards over either of them purely because of the price. But
okay, so how many points Munoz has done very well? How many points fewer does Lacroix has from Munoz this year? Take a guess.
Maybe like what, 10 points fewer?
Like 6-7 points. So this is after all the attack that the attacking. I think couple of games where Munoz got monster hauls, or was close to monster hauls. Now I think Munoz is a better pick, but I'm saying it's also 0.7 difference now. So
yeah, he went up yesterday, right?
So 0.7 gets a lot.
Yeah, but I also just want to say that because I remember this, there was a very heavy consideration to go Palace defender versus Anderson. Remember, I had that debate, Richards versus Anderson, and we cited Europe as a factor. We're seeing that now they've conceded 6 goals in the last 3 Premier League games. So it's just a wait and watch on Palace defenders, because the next 2 also are very likely to score. Brentford and Brighton are no mugs. So if you're buying a Palace defender, probably the time is after, not now, because they're not banker clean sheet fixtures. So just don't go there unless
Munoz. You have an Anderson problem, right? Like if you're trying to, if he's out, and we'll come to bust team actually, because this is very relevant to me. I could go Richards, I could go Lacroix, I could go no one. So we'll have a chat when we get to bust team. But I just think they're 5 good picks. So
if you're going 5 million defender, Thiaw is the one, Pras.
Lacroix.
Anything
I love how that was such a sensual interaction between Pras and me for some reason.
Yeah, we've been given the gift of DEFCON this year. There's absolute monsters. Like there's some monsters who are getting 70% of the games. They'll get 25 DEFCON points. Free 50 points this season. I take free points.
But the best defenders in the game right now, Gabriel and Timber, right? And that's not for DEFCON.
Yeah, okay. So you have to find a balance, right? So you will have 2 defenders from Arsenal. It's who else do you have?
Exactly. We'll talk about it. I looked into it a fair bit. We'll talk about it during your bus team. Go on. Villa versus City.
I didn't watch much of this, but as soon as I saw the team sheet with Reinders in the 6th, I knew I was pretty much dead as an FPL option once. Go ahead.
This was a special game for Pras, which we need to mention, where his son is an Aston Villa fan, and he took the day trip and went with his son to watch them beat City. So tell us about the occasion and how he felt and the analysis from the game, Pras.
I mean, we were chatting before the pod, right? So like it was Man City. So I was like, they're going to get battered. So I was telling my son before the game that, look, even if you lose, it's okay. You'll watch Haaland. He hadn't watched Haaland before. So I was like, you'll watch Haaland score a few goals, because if Man City win, then he would have scored. And then, it was a great atmosphere. Having been to some of the bigger grounds, the Old Trafford, Chelsea, Arsenal and stuff, Wembley, it's a very different feel. Like Villa is a smaller stadium, a bit like Fulham, not that small, but it's a smaller stadium, more families. So it was a nice experience actually going in, not very crowded in the sense of when we got out, it was not like, we were stuck for an hour coming out of the stadium. So from all of that perspective, it was very nice. And just the fact that they won made the atmosphere amazing. Like we were there for a half an hour after the game. There was Villa songs and my son is hooked, man. He's now a hooked Villa fan. So that's the experience bit. In terms of the game, I think just Unai Emery knows how to play these big games, right? I mean, I think Man City started really well, and they had all the possession, they were creating all the chances, and then at some point, Buendia just decided that I'm going to run into space and make these through balls to Watkins and to Rogers, and they were good. Like Buendia was amazing. I was very impressed with him, and they got their goal, and then they did what Villa do. They kept a tight ship. They conceded chances, but there were lots of smallish chances. I think the two that stand out that were biggish were the Haaland chance and I think the Mamouche chance that he was close or they hit the post or Haaland hit himself the post. But other than that, yeah, it was a good Villa performance.
Just keep an eye on them because I think unbeaten now in 6 games, and after next week against Liverpool, they've got Bournemouth, Leeds, Wolves, Brighton, Arsenal, West Ham. So good run of fixtures, like a low-key underrated team that nobody's looking at. Just keep an eye on the form if anybody sprigs up.
More prawn sandwiches with Will and Kate soon, Pras.
Yes. No, we were on the lookout. We couldn't find them.
Anything else to add in terms of Man City? Still, Esteve remains the second highest goal scorer.
It's a crazy stat, man. And you can see it. Like
10,
everybody.
We are in game week 10. None of their players have scored more than 1 goal. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. That's why that the entire game week 13, right, about the fixture turn for City and Liverpool, I'm not worried about City anymore. It's done. Like I don't think there's a second pick in that team outside of Haaland. So that one thing is established and one less thing to worry about.
Because even in defense, he's chopping and changing a lot. I think this game he had like Riley who sat out, Guardiola came in. I think the previous game he had Guardiola sit out. Stones and Diaz now looks like the preferred centre-back pairing. I mean, the only guy who's starting consistently is Diaz. He got DEFCON this game. And something we should also mention, Pras, Konsa seeing you in the stands, racked up DEFCON for the first time this season.
Of course he did. Of course he did. I had my eye on my boy.
Konsa gets points.
I miss him, man.
Yeah. I found that very, very amusing, probably more than I
Nice
should.
fixtures after next week. You know, loyalty does things, Pras. You know, no.
No DEFCON. No DEFCON.
No, he just got DEFCON. Against a team that ironically we were just talking about in that earlier chat who don't generate DEFCON Man City. The guy who hasn't got them all season gets them in this game. That's what I'm saying.
Away versus Man City home will be very different, right? This wasn't that control game. Like there was a lot of back and forth with the ball. At
Game
home
state.
it will be different, I feel.
Game state also plays into that, obviously.
Yeah. And also I say no other pick, but if Marmoush shows some leg, I wouldn't be surprised if I go there. So I don't want to completely say no pick because we have an open mind on this podcast always.
He comes and goes though, right? You get him for that period where City have 13, 14, 15. Then he goes to AFCON. Like I think one of those aspirational picks where we might talk about him, but we won't go there. At least we won't. LR might.
Yeah. There's an open mind, that's all. United is doing the damage right now anyway in terms of where we want to go.
So an interesting stat, I read this on Planet FPL, rather heard it. So at 5 games into the season, Liverpool had won 5, Villa had 1-0. The next 4 games after that, Aston Villa have won all, Liverpool have lost all. And they play each other now in the next game week. So
nice.
4 weeks is a long time in football, right? And we were talking about Emery at the start of the season. Eventually, he will get it right. He hasn't delivered from an FPL standpoint, but look at the results. They're mid-table now.
Yeah.
But Watkins is still very, very off it. Like very off it. Like he was getting so many chances, so many runs. You could see he's just not confident, man. Like of course it will turn with him as well. But there is a thing. Like confidence is a thing, especially with strikers.
Between the two, Rogers is more on it at the moment.
He's just a great ball carrier, man. This guy, like he's going to be great. Like he is already. But you can give him the ball sticks to his shoe, he can run at whatever pace and the ball stays with him. Like that's a great talent to have. That transitional midfielder is something that Rogers is great at doing.
Next one. Anything else on this, guys? Villa, Man City done. Move on to Bournemouth, Forest.
Yeah.
I think we sort of unpacked this game earlier. No DEFCON for either team in this one. Even Krupi, I think the XG was only 0.23. Semenyo's shot volume has gone down significantly, guys, over the last 5-6
What a fraud, man.
Never mind shot volume. He was embracing his inner Joao Pedro in this one, man. Normally, Semenyo is like a sprinter, making quick runs, etc., aggressive attacking in the box. He was strolling and just jogging on the side. So I think something was up, man. I was watching him. I'm like, what's up, man? Just go make a run. Why he wasn't making any runs? Nothing.
One
And the
pen box
ball,
touch.
One
yeah,
pen box touches.
it was very wide and it wasn't the best. Maybe if Krupi sticks, because Evanilson is more Voldemort-ish, right, in terms of bringing
Yeah.
his midfielders into play. Krupi is tip of the spear kind of striker. So maybe that's a bad thing for Semenyo. So one to monitor.
Yep. Should also mention the NS Unal, the other striker they have, is also back to fitness. He's also in the squad. So it's interesting now to see what happens. I think obviously Krupi keeps a spot for this game, but now I think game week 11 is when we'll really see it a bit more.
Have you been reading about groupies of all the articles that have come out in the week? They went a window earlier because the top six were hovering around groupie. Like he was that highly rated in the analytics circle as well. So there's a pick there if he like we need to pay more attention to him than we are in general.
I do wish he got a few more minutes. So being swept at the mid 60s when you really don't have another established striker option on the bench isn't ideal. But maybe he doesn't trust him to have the legs or the game fitness to play the whole 90 yet.
It's very much the legs with the Iraola. Like even Clivert, you'll see he looks amazing in the game, but 50 minutes up, 60th minutes up. It's just if that fitness level isn't there, then I mean that's what makes Bournemouth really good, right? You need to be on it 90 minutes.
Yep. No Forest defender got DEFCON. Again, we saw in that earliest table, playing against Bournemouth is supposed to be good for your centre backs. But again, I guess because Bournemouth didn't commit too many men forward, these guys, none of them were close. I think Milenkovic was on 6 or 7. Burio was even further back. So in terms of FPL options at Forest, they still remain non-existent.
Yeah,
Next.
agreed.
Wolves, Burnley. Strand Larsen finally established that he is on penalties, Pras.
We had inside info, man. What can I say? Like, I'm kidding. Like, a lot of people went for him, but Wolves have turned out to be way worse. Like, even Pereira, as a manager, he has gone through this cycle of, fully everybody believing in him, even though the losses were coming. The fans, the pundits were saying, okay, he's still a good manager. He still turned it around. He did well last season. To now going the full 180 and saying, actually, this guy might not be, there for very long because you can't lose at home to Burnley, right? This is like a death sign to your season, and it's not looking good.
I'll say though that they were fairly unlucky to lose to
Yeah.
Burnley. Like with the balance of play, they should have gotten the 3 points. Luck wasn't on their side, and that's how the cookie crumbles. As United fans, we know when it's not working, it's not working.
You saw him arguing with the fans. You saw Jose Sa also having a fallout at the end. The end doesn't look good, man. I think they just gave him a new contract too, a month or so ago.
Yeah, and it's not an easy gig. Yeah, I mean, if you think about that squad with them getting 4 or 5 Portuguese players in every year, and then losing genuine 2 of the best players in the league in Cunha and Ait Nouri in one window, it's not easy to deal with. Like it's not like Brighton, right, or Bournemouth, which supplies them with much better players. Here, there are players which require a year or two of getting acclimatized to the league, etc. as well. So it's a tough gig, Bulls manager.
Yeah. You get the Mendes conveyor belt. You don't necessarily get
Yeah.
the best picks in the market.
Yeah.
Mendes conveyor belt, like it.
Anything else here, guys? I think neither team has such really much to unpack from an FPL perspective. Tuanzebe started again at 3.9. Want to keep
Just
an
the
eye
2
on.
teams to target at the moment. 2 best fixtures in the league right now, Wolves and Burnley for your attackers.
I wouldn't say Burnley as much as West Ham. I'd say Wolves and West Ham still more so than Burnley for me.
Those are the 3.
Burnley at home, I think, are still
You weigh them differently.
better.
I agree with you, Pras, in that sense. You quantify them slightly differently at Turf Moor.
And if last week hadn't happened, I would have said the same thing about Sunderland. But last week has obviously changed that. The Sunderland put out a great performance away as
I
well.
was very impressed
I
by
know,
the
I know.
coaching. Because
Last week was the first week where I changed my opinion. Before this, I was saying Sunderland are doing well, but fixtures are also good, right?
Yeah.
Now, and they were playing well at home. Now, 2 of those variables changed. They were away from home, fixture was not good, and still they played really well. So yes, I am slowly, not fully, changing my opinion on Sunderland that they look much better. They're not one of those battering teams, but again, with Sunderland, they will lose a lot of players in AFCON. So TBC, but I agree with LR's analysis that
Yeah.
Wolves and Burnley are the two teams.
You
to fight.
reminded me actually because I was like once when we played Sunderland and it was a fairly comfortable victory for us. I'm like, oh, they're not much. Like they gave us an easy victory and we were in the dumps at that time. So that shifted a perception at that time.
Exactly.
Very
Yeah.
impressive coaching job from him and Iraola when you look at the number of players they've had to integrate. And we've seen how much like even a good manager like Slot can struggle with that. You can't praise that highly enough. The last game, Everton Spurs. Again, in terms of data wise, you look at it, Everton, I remember 1.54 XG in this game. I saw this early on. Ndai had a couple of good crosses again. And we spoke about this last part as well, Pras. Ndai, great pick, but the problem is who is he crossing to?
Beto. But he was great, man. And Dai looks so good on the eye. Like, I think even more so in the last 3 weeks. That, or maybe we're fixating him on him more as an FPL pick because either you own or your rival owns. But he's just so good, man. With the dribbles, with his speed. He's on pens. I'm not saying as an FPL point of view, just as a footballer, as an outlet, he's so good.
Footballer.
You know one thing though, he doesn't take many shots. Like all the good things he do are good on the eye, and he's a good chance creator. But like, there's not many shots that he's taking. So like, we need to watch him carefully and quantify the fart and poo moving forward.
Yeah, but there was a lot of pooing, man. It's just that Beto didn't, flush or whatever.
Even
I'm going down a very dark.
That's a good one. Even the Grealish
Like, it's not
one,
his fault. Yeah.
Grealish hit it straight to Porto.
Yeah.
Who takes corners now? The reason we got him in game week 1, he doesn't take a corner after that. Did you see everybody else? Simmons, Kudus, just randomly here, he takes a corner. And, oh, look, surprise, it's a good corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I guess it took 9 weeks for Thomas Frank to come around that.
And the Van der Ven, the transformation is unreal now. He's pretty much become prime, like which centre back have we
Van
seen score
Dijk.
5 goals? No, Van Dijk didn't score this many goals. I mean,
Yeah, but did you see Thomas Frank mention that?
yes.
Like he specifically mentioned that in the post-match interview, saying that he had 1 goal in his career before I came here, and he's a big guy, and we wanted to focus on that, and we worked on that with Mickey, and now we're repaying the fruits of that. And even in the post-match, like he pulled Mickey and showed him to the Spurs crowd and said, "He's the man, he's the man." So there's a little bit of a aura thing happening there as well.
But very little else in terms of Spurs investment and their fixtures. I think they now have Chelsea and Manchester United. So if you have, you hold. Nobody's selling Van der Ven anytime soon.
Yep. Space Jammed.
Okay, guys, let's look at the captaincy. I think before we move on to our bus teams, I think it's Haaland, or do you guys see any alternatives here?
If you're going alternative, who's the alternative?
That's what I'm
Arsenal
thinking
pick.
about. I think it has to be
You can
Arsenal
go
pick.
Saka or Gabriel.
If you have Saka, Salah, who do you captain?
Salah
If you have
still.
both?
Salah still.
I'd say Salah because Anfield.
Anfield.
And I
And
just
Villa,
still
I
trust
think.
Salah more as a captain. I don't
But
know
it
what
has-
it is.
The Saka, the thing is, again, like I know you don't value DEFCON as much for mids, but even that game, despite being sick, around 60th minute, 7 DEFCON.
Yeah, man, I was watching it. It's changed our FPL experience. We are checking DEFCONs in 30th, 40th, 50th minute as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Sad.
Again,
Yeah.
it's a good top-up point, right? Again, we've seen the baseline. That's a similar thing, but Bruno and Saka have is they're both very good in terms of baseline as well. Even Bruno was 27 baseline the last game. I mean, it's something like a 1-1. He gets 3 bonus over there. So both these guys
But-
are very similar in that aspect.
You'd still captain Saka and Saka over Gabriel, just looking at Burnley.
I think so still. I still
Think
can't
so
get
still.
over. I can't just get over because again, I still think he does have penalties, and again, he might be the one taking the corner,
Yeah.
which Gabriel
Yeah.
scores from.
Let's revisit this again next week because I think it will require work for us to rewire our brains as well, if it is a thing as well. I just want to open up the conversation. I am not doing it either. Haaland's firmly my captain this week.
Apart from that, I think Voltemada, I think, is a legit option considering how bad West Ham are.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that captaincy potential. He's like a stick and forget 7 million striker, which is what he is. He gives you what you get from him in terms of price.
The Spurs also is interesting now. They also have a similar schedule to Palace. They played on Sunday. Now Wednesday they're traveling to St. James Park, and on Saturday they are playing Chelsea.
Hmm. So I
Something to
hope
watch
that
out for
leads to
there.
points for our boy Enzo.
We hope so. Anything else, boys? Move on to bus teams.
Before we move on to bus teams as well, just 1,000 people watching. There's a little bit of a slowdown in terms of our views to likes ratio. So if you guys could just really, really help us out, we'd be grateful. And we've slowed down on the growth front on the subscriber base as well. So I thought we'd set some nice targets. And by the time we move on to the next podcast, we're at 41,700. If you could get to 42,000, not asking for too much. If you could, if you are already subscribed to us, take your girlfriend, wives, partners, dogs, phone, and just hit the subscribe button. We'd be grateful. It would really help us out. So make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, guys.
Your team first.
Cat's phone as well.
Yeah, cat's phone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, when you mentioned you were a dog, right? Did you see the chat at that time, Zoph?
I know. We
There
are
was an
such
entire Neo
divisive as a
versus-
community, as a humankind. Like, why are we like this? I don't get it, man. Both can be good.
No, I can't say that, man. My dog will literally throw me out of the house. It's my dog's house. I just live in it. Pretty much.
correct.
Go ahead.
This is my team. I've got Pope, very similar. Pras and I are on the same team except for Voltemade versus Gordon, essentially, in the starting lineup. I've got Pope, Timber, Gabriel, Anderson, Sar, Saka, Enzo, Semenyo, Pedro, Haaland, Voltemade. I've got two routes that I'm looking at. Likely to do Pedro to Mateta with one free transfer. But the other option is doing Pedro down to Krupi and Dewsbury Hall up to Bumo. I would be open to that move if Mateta, Sar, Munoz again get 90 minutes. Then I think about it a little more. Otherwise, I'm likely to do Pedro to Mateta.
Pedro to
And the
Mateta
thing-
is a reasonable move, I think.
What about
but
your
if
defender?
Palace is, I'll play Rodon. I'm not interested in moving that at the moment. I'm comfortable with Rodon. He's done enough. He deserves my loyalty. I don't feel like spending a transfer there at the moment because the only transfer I want to get is Thiaw, and I want to prioritize the attacking transfer right now. Because even if I move Pedro to Mateta, my thinking is that Vissa is on the grass and training. So Voltemade is a problem that I might have to shift in 2 weeks. So if I don't do the striker down to Krupi move and upgrading KDH to midfielder move now, it might be next week or the week after in terms of Voltemade down to Krupi and then upgrading KDH to Pumo or Bruno. So I'm open to that structure change either this week, if not this week, next week or the week after. What might help in doing it the week, next week or the next week after is getting clarity on which United midfielder it is. Like if there's a slight gut feeling that Cunha might also be the one. So is Cunha putting up the numbers again next week because the monkey's off the back? That I still think Boomer's the best midfielder. Bruno's a great midfielder. It's worth taking a week to assess more if I want to. But if again the Palace core players play 90 minutes, I'll worry about that.
Is there a way you can get Bumo in midfield and Voltemade to Mateta? Not right now, but in terms of a long-term structure?
Yeah. I convert either Pedro or Voltemade to Mateta, and the other striker goes down to Krupi, and I convert KDH to Bumo Bruno. Those are the moves that I'm looking at, which is why I'm prioritizing those moves over my defender move at the moment.
Because Anderson, worst case, he's out of the IB. Then after that, he's a good pick any week. You can play him. And you can pretty much play Senesi then every week after this one. So Anderson can even rot on your bench for a bit. So I can get on board.
And one lesson I learned from debacle on Thursday, Friday in terms of Arteta lying as well is it's a very fluky chip that doesn't require too much of your brain space. So I'm not even going to plan for the bench boost too much. If I need to, then I'll plan game week 17, 18. I'm going to objectively focus on making transfers. And if there's a week that seems like it's a good bench boost, I'll do it. But I won't prioritize planning for it. It's a lesson I learned because you require too many good things to come together at this stage of the season for 15 players to be fit and for you to bench boost. It's a hard stretch.
Fair sure. Anything to add, Pras?
No, I mean, I can add on my own team because it's not very different.
Go ahead.
So I've already done Pedro to Mateta. You see, I don't love early transfers, but I also have strong views about picks, and I have not liked Joao Pedro at all. Right? You guys know from game
Since
week
game
one,
week
I didn't like him, and it hurt even more that he got that 15-point haul when I'm like, this guy's so useless, man. Like, how is he getting all these points? Then he gets one off the back, So I was not complaining when those things were happening, but then I got him because he was playing Nottingham Forest, he was playing Sunderland. I didn't see anything, so I was like, I don't believe in the guy. So it's a bit like the Bruno non-believers when they buy Bruno. So this is not at use of, not yet. When they buy within 2 weeks, they're like, okay, how can I sell him? I just need to sell him because I don't believe in this. So I was like this with Joao Pedro. I was like, there is no way I will not have Mateta, who's on penalties, who's getting big chances, for this fraud who's not even getting a shot. So I was like, what am I waiting for? I've got 2 free transfers. If there's an injury, I'll deal with it with another free transfer. So I just did it. So
And Rodon exists anyway.
Rodon is there, and another transfer is there if I need, right? So
you rage sold Pras.
sorry. I
You
rage
rage
so no. I'm calm. Man. I'm calm.
He's human, guys. He's human.
It was not a rage sell. It was something that, although on Twitter I did do an F-bomb, and I was like, this guy can get the hell out of my team or whatever. So,
But did it
yes,
feel
I
good?
did.
Did the move feel good? Like there are sometimes when the buttons feel really good. It must have felt good, right? This time.
To be honest, selling words felt better. Like I have had, I have priors this season of selling players who have really not done anything. So it was fine. Like Joao Pedro was okay for 2 weeks. I would still do it, right? So it's not like I regret it in any way. But I think I'm happy with Sarr and Mateta, the 2 big goal share guys for Palace.
Yeah.
And we're entering a period where it's okay to have short-term moves. Like you don't have to have this Palace double up for next 12 weeks, right? It could be a 6-week thing.
Yeah. It's also very interesting because our structures have defined our moves also. Like I'm more open to a hold and see if I want Boomer because I've got that KDH slot and Group P slot open. You already have OB. So like that structure has also defined the direction in which we might or might not go. We might go the same direction also. But the slight open-minded is there because I don't have the Gordon spot, essentially.
Right. So idea is, now let me just explain why I am thinking of the second transfer if Anderson is out longer. I think the likeliest outcome is that Marco Silva will be like, oh, Anderson is out for this, but he's nearly back because he's been saying minor for a long time. So base case, I'll leave it. And this will be the starting lineup. But let's say he's out longer. Gordon and Enzo can become Minte and Bruno in Game Week 12. That's the plan. But I'm 0.2 short. So I'm thinking I can do Anderson to Mukiele this week and then I can do that move in Game Week 12. That's the only reason why I'm thinking maybe I might sell Anderson and maybe I do it that way. Or
Give
the other move.
When you're saying
I'll wait
that,
till Friday.
Just give it a couple of weeks more. Because Zoph mentioned it, Harry tweeted about it, like a Kimpong might be a pick. So like if we see him starting for 1 or 2 weeks, like you might have the best cheap defender in terms of a Chelsea defender at 3.9 million as well. So like just something to consider for you because he might become a pick at an even cheaper price point.
No, but like you said, after this week, pretty much every single week you play Senesi. So
Exactly.
So there's and the Mukiele Rodon partnership is not too bad. One of them is at home, so as a first sub, it's not too bad. Although I don't like this cheapness in defense because this is the season for 4 at the back.
Not
so
very
I'm
robust.
unlikely to do that. Even though I am tempted to, in fact, the bigger temptation if Anderson is out longer term is actually to just upgrade him to Lacroix. That is why I was defending Lacroix earlier, because then I can play 4 at the back forever. And the Bruno move, if I do it, then I don't need to get Minte to afford it. I can just go down to a Xhaka or Anderson or somebody who works out in Game Week 12. And then you play 4 at the back for a very long time. I also like centre-back season. Like, we are getting into Christmas period soon. We're getting into midweek fixtures soon. Having more centre-backs, having more 90 minutes men is something that I do every season from when I've played. When November hits, then anybody who plays under 70 minutes shouldn't be in your team. I know I have Gordon right now. He won't be in my team over the Christmas period. He should start. So he's a different case to a Gakpo or somebody else. We've been given a gift for centre-backs who get DEFCON. Fill your team with them. That's the thinking anyway. So I may or may not do anything. But if I do something, this is why I was thinking maybe just do Anderson to Lacroix.
Just a couple of pieces of feedback to you. Look at Newcastle United's fixtures. Like Neil and Heko, if you remember Heko from the old scout days, genuinely good FPL manager as well, Newcastle fan, were sure that Thiaw is their best attacker, also a set piece monster. And look at Newcastle's fixtures versus No,
I get it, but if you need to ask, then they're not nailed.
Yeah, but it's his first season here, right? So
that's what I mean. And so over Christmas period, he will miss. How many games has Lacroix missed? Like why do you need to do it?
Because I deep dive into this and look at Senesi's rotation with Thiaw compared to Senesi's rotation with Richards. Like Senesi's rotation with Newcastle United is insanely good.
Okay,
that's
this
why
is interesting. Then I will have a look. If there are games I can bench Senesi and play Thiaw, then okay, I'll.
He covers all the week games. And the second thing is don't be attached to the move that you're making because of mint day. Like 6 million down, we'll find you a 5.5, 5.6, 5.7 midfielder if you need it. Like the United midfielder or the premium midfielder is the priority. You can get a cheaper midfielder or you can get a better fourth
Yeah,
defender.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
most likely to just leave it and then we'll see.
Yeah.
There's lots of moves.
Yeah.
Why, Zoph, you're smiling, man. What's up?
Yeah, man, because Ella should have led with the R word. Rotation gets Pras or horny. Ella. Don't you know that already?
Yeah. In fact,
Dude,
Zoph
I'm
was so happy
counting.
when I was looking at rotation and everything. And shout out to Solo. It's such a beautiful tool to do rotation as well, right? Because I could just click the game weeks in which I wanted my defender to like just a nice hack for people that are following. I was looking at the weeks in which Senesi, I don't want Senesi playing. So I unticked those weeks on Solio and I just clicked like 5 weeks where Senesi won't play. And then it gave you the defenders that had really good numbers for those weeks. So that sort of nicely helped as well.
Yeah, so most likely saving the other transfer unless there's something bad on Anderson.
Yep, and also we do have to remember this Carabao Cup games. We'll update them, the results and the thoughts in our team selection videos.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anything
Just
else?
one thing, if Anderson is injured and we don't use our transfers, play Senesi or Rodon. Is there a preference there?
Rodon, I think.
Rodon, I think. There's a
It's
higher,
Brighton versus Man
much higher
City.
chance of clean sheet.
It's Brighton versus Man City.
Yeah.
I think you could get a clean sheet at Brighton still.
Yeah, but this is a basketball game if ever there was one. Like that's gonna be it's like a 2-2 game.
Because Leeds haven't
Yeah.
really had any basketball games so far this season.
Yeah.
They had the 2-2, I think, against Tottenham, but again, that was a pretty dull game both ways. My team, guys: Sanchez, Timber, Gabriel, Munoz, Mukiele, Bruno, Saka, Semenyo, Enzo, Mateta, Haaland cap, King, Krupi, Senesi on the bench, 1 free transfer, 0 in the bank, rolling. Few transfers I am tempted by over here. I think Enzo to start potentially is something I might look at. I'm still not completely there with Enzo as a pick, but I think I'm going to try to roll a transfer at least this week because next week is a potential bench boost week. I'd like to have 2 free transfers also going into that, but then I know I'm going to end up next week with Enzo against Wolves and I don't want to move that anyway. So probably just keep rolling into the international break if I can.
Who are you debating? King versus who as a starter?
I was earlier just wondering if King is a starter in general, because I just for a more of a sub thing earlier, Mukiele versus King was a decision, but I think Mukiele just wins out easily. The defenders are better.
For sure.
Can you just move back to one team? My team. I have a question.
Yep.
Anybody who start KDH over?
Nah. I think you overvalue KDH a little bit. I know we were having our discussions prior to that also. It's a good pick, but you're maybe slightly overvaluing it.
Yeah, and Sunderland's tough.
Especially at Sunderland.
Yeah.
And not compared to your attackers, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You're not benching Semenyo or any one of these guys.
No, I think this is a good matchup for Semenyo, so I'm not benching.
We do have some super chats, guys. We've gone over
good pod, man.
We've gone over 2 hours again. Subhajit want to get one of Boomo Gakpo. I don't even need to ask you guys. Boomo.
Easy.
From our friend Pulkit. Hi team. 4 free transfers, 0.6 in the bank. Richards, Foden, JP to Munoz, Enzo, Mateta. You know what? I'd be tempted to go triple Palace and go Munoz, Sar, Mateta.
Yeah, or just not make the midfielder move.
That's a funding move, though. That's a Foden move. Foden is losing. That's a funding move.
Yeah, then I'd go Sar. He's a better pick.
But with Sar, we should caveat that to our viewers, right? I think the main thing with Sar is he's very feast or famine because he doesn't have these routes to points. And even ultimately, you see it's mostly goal threat rather than assist threat. So there are going to be blanks. Maybe you'll get 2 blanks, then you'll get a 15-pointer the week after. So be very patient with Sar.
Agreed.
The next one.
He's doing Richards to Munoz, though. You think that's worth a transfer?
I do think
that's
it's
not
an
a funding
upgrade.
Move.
It is an upgrade.
It is, of course, an upgrade.
And again, he has
but you might need that money later.
He has 4 free transfers plus. And I think this is the entry point, right, for the fixture run. I think you do it.
Fair enough.
My worry about Palace is their clean sheet potential in the next 3 or 4. I don't like the fixtures from a clean sheet point of view with Europe in play.
I mean, Plus, you remember Munoz in that Arsenal game, he was one-on-one with Raya. He got called offside. Which other right back in the league is going to be
Gets called for offside. No, he's amazing. Like we are again. It comes back to our Palace discussion. They're all appropriately priced. He is a 5.7 million defender. So you are also paying up for it. And so my question is, if you're doing Richards to Munoz, that's 1.2 million. Can that 1.2 million do something else in your midfield, for example? So that's always the question.
That's true, and we don't have access to the entire team over there, so we can discuss with it on Discord further. Pulkit. Shauna currently have Pope, Timber, Senesi, Rodon, Enzo, Eze, Semenyo, Bumo, Haaland, Volt, Thiaw. Bench, so a bunch of players, 3 free transfers, 1.1 million in the bank. Thinking of Diouf, Thiaw to Gabriel, Krupi. Why Krupi necessarily buying now? I think we're looking at the structure, then wouldn't it be a little bit short?
He's getting Gabriel now, and you buy Gabriel. Yes.
You definitely prioritize Gabriel, but I'm just wondering if there's anything else he can do. I'm just looking at his midfield over there.
No, I think Krupi is a good pick.
So he's essentially be switching to a back four, I think, in most weeks then.
It's a good
get the best pick in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabriel is the top pick. So fair enough. Go for it.
But just have a look. If you're not going to be playing Krupi a lot and you've used your bench boost, then it's okay to get like a
don't rely on Krupi. That's the only point I'm saying. If Krupi is going to be your 8th, that's fine, because the structure he has is Pope, Timber, Senesi, Rodon already. So my point is he's selling Diouf to Gabriel and getting Krupi in there for Joao Pedro. So essentially he's either playing Krupi or Rodon every week then. That can be a bit tricky. From Ayush, looking back at Zoph's Defcon rant, and I couldn't agree more. Defcon fully fried my brain to play Esteve over Van der Ven, playing defenders only on hunch now. It's unpredictable, man. He's not mentioning.
Player defenders as per clean sheet odds.
Clean sheet odds, I think, are still king.
Yeah.
Wildcard from Chinmay. Wildcard, free hit, bench boost in hand. OR at 800k. Best window for aggressive play. No concerns with the team. Wildcard 12 to 13, even worth it if I merely change less than 50% of my team. And we didn't really discuss this person. We actually didn't even discuss Wildcard 10 picks because there are a bunch of people on Wildcard 10 already. What would you change? For example, using something like my Wildcard.
You tell me, you wildcarded recently. What would you change in your Wildcard?
I mean, I'm pretty set on going 4 at the back, so I would probably stick with that. Maybe Bumo to Bruno, I still think I would have more faith in Bruno. Still is just my kind of pick. I think Enzo to Sard is potentially the only one. Everything else I'm really happy with.
I thought about what I'd change on my wildcard. Like just the base premise of my wildcard would be double Arsenal defense. I'd be open to triple Arsenal defense. Senesi would stick in there. I would like to go cheap striker, Mateta instead of Voltemade or Pedro with Haaland. And I would stick in one United midfielder, maybe 2, depending on whether you're going double or triple Arsenal defense. That would be the base of my wildcard, and then I'd build from there with the spicy picks. I think you definitely go one United midfielder on wildcard now.
Agree.
So in terms of what Chinmay has, I mean, wildcard whenever you want, man. Like
what is a trade-off now between now and let's say 12?
Information,
exactly.
I'm thinking about it. Like wildcard 6 versus 7 versus 8 versus 9. My thoughts have evolved quite drastically, and there have been 2 or 3 changes in my head every time I thought I would wildcard a week later. Like there is a part of me that felt if I wildcarded right now, I would have definitely gotten Bumo in my draft, in my wildcard team, right? So information is the greatest thing. Never mind fixture shifts and all of that, but information changes every week.
Injury, like Isak's injury is longer than anticipated. Then Isak becomes amazing. Ekitike becomes really, really good. So it's also information, and information including not just what happens on the pitch, but even outside, like injuries and stuff. Although injuries also happen on the pitch, but you know what I mean.
So Ayush is asking, hit wildcard, it's gone far after good start, down to 300k thanks to Van der Ven second bench. Who to pick?
Hold on, down to 300k?
Yes.
I mean, come on, get out of here.
Flying in the clouds,
first world problems.
Yeah.
Who to pick from Rice, Sobo, Enzo, Sar to rate it with third striker? I think Sar we still like.
Yeah. But more and more, I'm wondering about Rice as a pick.
I think he's still in the top 5 scoring midfielders.
Like he's not a bad third Arsenal pick to have.
And you don't really need to rotate Thiago either, buddy. You can still pretty much play Thiago every week.
In a world where Palmer is fit and Salah is doing well, I can get on board with it. But when money is not an issue, why would you not go third defender or Saka, right? Like Saka is Rice with more goal threat and same assist threat and more bonus threat and even DEFCON threat actually.
Better
I'm just
DEFCON.
thinking about that Enzo spot. Like in my head, I was wondered like that the 6.57 million midfielder is
Then
Enzo
you need to
better?
turn, as a fourth pick, yes, of course. As in, he's better
Yeah.
than Enzo, but he's also, then you have to sacrifice an Arsenal.
I'm not even sure he's better than Enzo. It's just like it's a wonderment.
You can easily pick 6 Arsenal players on Wildcard
Yeah.
if you remove the limit. This is why I like the idea of a free hit without team limits, but I think the technology is not in place for that to happen.
From Abhimanyu, going well at 992 OR. So even better.
Oh man, sorry.
At least he's acknowledging that he's got a good rank. Good,
Yep.
congratulations, Abhimanyu. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks to your podcast. We appreciate that, Abhimanyu. Who's the best JP replacement if I already have Mateta? Assuming either 13 or 17. I think I'd have to say Thiago.
Krupi Jr. and spend the money in midfield.
Again, depending on team structure, because again, don't rely on
And
Krupi.
bench
That's what we
boost.
keep saying, and bench boost, because Krupi, as of now, doesn't look like a long-term pick.
I don't think there's value in forwards. If you've used your bench boost,
But
find
that
it
being
at
said, he
that
said he's
strike.
assuming wildcard 13, then you go Volt, which is perfect for that window. You're getting
Yeah.
Brentford, West Ham.
West Ham.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
The next one, he's asking for top 5 mids in order to own from game week 10. That is pretty much this week if you were wildcarding now.
Oh, that's a spicy question, man.
I mean, United mid, depending on your flavor, who you like.
Zoph, you're still saying your flavor. You still think
It depends
Bruno
on
is
person.
as good as...
Speaking today, I would still pick Bruno, man. I still like the routes to points. It's just my kind of pick as an FPL manager. Again, I don't think Bruno is a bad pick, but I still would
Okay,
pick
so United
Bruno.
mid, but United mid top, I think, now.
United mid has to
Just
be, I
given
think,
our-
even higher
No
than
man, come
Arsenal.
on. Saka is top. Semenyo.
Yeah, but
I don't
it's
know, man.
very hard
Such
to prioritize
overreaction,
it.
man. We've
No, it's
just
like-
won 2 games. Come on, guys. We're still rubbish.
Plus, you're still top for XG over the entire season. So
Like
Like,
the
think
best
about
midfield pick.
And I didn't whine about it, but like I owned Bumo and Cunha for 3 weeks in a row, and they did what they did this week. I was like, this is what I was envisioning and picturing, and would have been flying.
it's hard to rank
Okay,
them in
they're
order.
good picks.
Let's just
They're
say
good
5.
picks, but
Up and down, like,
not top
keeps
picks.
changing week to pick. Like, let's just say United mid, Saka, Palace. I think you have to get at
No,
least
Sar.
Sar. Yes, because he's the only
Palace?
Palace mid.
Sar,
Palace mid.
Enzo, and Semenyo.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put Enzo up there. Like,
And so, yeah.
I
I'm
rate
still not there
Gordon more
with
than Enzo.
Yeah. I'm still not that much there on Enzo as an FPL option.
I want to see if there's like a name I can chuck in there. There's literally none.
And I wouldn't really make it, I think.
No,
As good a pick as he is, not in the top 5.
there's
La-
literally none.
The last
2
one,
United
guys,
mids. That's the answer then.
that's the option. Also, depending on the structure of how you go.
Or Eze. I think we're undervaluing Eze also. Eze is also decent.
I don't think so necessarily. I
But
think
if you're counting Saka and Eze, then you're saying it's better than double defense, which it's not.
exactly.
Yeah. So 2 United midfielders.
From Aranya, this is the last one, guys. Please don't send in any more super chats.
I love it. Pras.
I'm having a nosebleed here. Like we're recommending 2 midfielders for Man United, man.
Yeah. But so low-key, dark horse midfielder that might become a conversation next week is Rogers.
Does the fixtures turn? I haven't had a look.
Yes.
Oh, we can buy Watkins again. Let me
Yeah.
see.
Bournemouth leads Wolves. Brighton.
From Aranya, the last one, he had Van der Ven and Boomo this week. So a bit of a rank wank. He says his skin has cleared, GPA rose, and his ex has tested back. FPL is therapy, life is beautiful.
All right, Aranya. See you
Congratulations.
next week after your 10 blanks.
No. I'm
No,
happy for him.
congratulations. Congratulations.
He's a
He's a-
Boomo owner, man. He deserves the credit.
Yeah, and it's the Semenyo non-owner plus on that 18-point week as well.
Was he a non-owner? Okay, you have my sympathies, man. You have all my sympathies.
Damn, guys, we went over 2 hours 10 minutes today. I did not expect that.
Yeah, that's the thing with the pods nowadays. Right? They don't feel like 2 hours. I'm not tired. I'm refreshed after talking to you, Jens. So I think
Yeah,
that
this was a slow week.
Yeah, and I enjoyed and I missed out last week. So it's so. Has that ever happened to you, where you miss out on a pod and you see the other two talking, and then I'm literally finding myself talking while you guys are talking. I'm like, no, say this, or I agree, great point. All of that is happening in my head while I'm listening to you guys.
Indeed.
Anyway, hit like and subscribe. Don't forget that we've had a little bit of a slowdown there. So if you could help us, we'd appreciate it. And we'll be seeing us with our team selection videos throughout the week. Take care, guys.
Thanks for joining
All right,
us.
see you.
See you guys later in the week with the team selection videos. Bye for now.